Vegas, where they'll be taking on the Montreal Canadiens. We do have a couple days until that series gets underway on Wednesday at KeyBank, but ahead of Game 1, head coach Lindy Ruff did speak with the media this morning and gave a bit of an update on forward Sam Carrick, saying he is further along than originally believed and that Carrick might even be able to join the Sabres at practice tomorrow. For more information, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com, and do stay tuned. Paul's going to join the show a little bit later on today at 4. And then some other Sabres news. Captain Rasmus Dahlin is one of the 3 finalists for the Bill Masterson Trophy, which is handed out to the player that best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. There are 2 games tonight. Carolina does host the Flyers at 7. The Hurricanes do hold a 1-0 series lead there. And then at 9:30, Game 1 between Vegas and Anaheim, and Game 1 is in Las Vegas. Sal Capaccio is continuing his series on the state of the Bills. It's at our website, WGR550.com. The wide receivers are the latest position group that is up. Skylar Thompson is signing with the Ravens, and that does make 5 quarterbacks on Baltimore's depth chart. And then in baseball, longtime radio voice of the New York Yankees, John Sterling, was announced to have died today at the age of 87. Sterling was the radio voice of the Yankees for part of 36 seasons, and the Yankees are in action tonight. They're home against Baltimore at 7:05. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Into the slot, Thompson turns away from pressure, leaves it for Dahlin, walks it in, he's got a man in front, scores! Alex Tuck from Rasmus Dahlin, a dynamic duo right in front of the Boston Bruins net, and it's 1-0 Buffalo. Carried by Peyton Krebs, left at the line. Samuelson shot, scores! Matthias Samuelson with a seeing eye shot from the blue line, and the Buffalo Sabres have a 2-0 lead, and a race for the loose puck. Buffalo not sending too many in. Now 3. Here's a chance in front. Scores! Big hit in the corner. Doan is on the ice picking himself up after Zach Benson finishes the play.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
We thank you, Boston, for your hospitality, but we have somewhere to be, and that's round 2.
On WGR.
Yes. Meaningful games in May. Who knew that was a thing that you could aspire to?
Whoa. Yeah. How about that?
Welcome to our show. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Paul Hamilton, Travis Yost today. Let's just revel in it. It's a little bit of a microcosm of those days leading up to the playoffs.
Yes.
For me, as was the weekend.
The weekend was the best.
Did you still...
It was so great.
Did you still, as you thought, this is where you were and where you expected to be, I think, leading into last night, ambivalent about who won?
I would have leaned the slightest toward Tampa, like wanting Tampa.
Last night?
Yeah.
Really, why?
I just felt
I
just felt like the way the series was going. Montreal, this doesn't have to mean anything. I mean, it's quantifiably even thinner the margin than wanting Boston in the first round, which we knew was still going to be hard anyway. So like either Tampa or Montreal to me was going to be hard. I just thought Tampa, it was possible Tampa to me could run out of gas. They got some older guys. They've been at this a while. Montreal's more like us. Like I don't think of Montreal, maybe just like the Sabres, and this can be a good thing, doesn't know what they don't know, and maybe they're not nervous because whatever. I just thought Tampa could run out of gas, is all.
That's not what happened, is it?
No, I don't think so.
At least, I mean, you're talking about by the end of round 2.
Right, yeah. I'm talking about if I play them, will they have their best stuff?
Enough juice.
For 6 or 7 games if it takes that long. And I thought it was possible they could, run out of gas. And Vasilevsky was a little leaky in spots. Right? I mean, the winner in Game 6 was horrendous that
5.
He gave up. It was Game 5. Oh, yeah, Game 6, they won 1-0 in overtime, yeah. So
even last night?
It's a coin flip, really. So
that goal?
What's that?
The winning goal?
Yeah, I mean, behind the net, it's a
little bit.
A little bit. I mean,
you don't want to lose a series on a shot from behind the line.
Right. I don't know what he's supposed to do differently there.
He just has to be a little quicker is the only counterpoint, I think.
So, yeah, I was leaning Tampa, but it was like a bit barely. Like, I'm standing right in the middle, straddling the line between Tampa and Montreal and sort of leaning Tampa, but it was not discernible. So mostly ambivalent, I guess. Like just mostly I kind of was rooting for Tampa to tie it up late. Just keep playing. I just wanted to keep going. Just wear them out as much as they can.
That's so interesting to me.
It's a thing that I was thinking about the game. So
I had a friend, do you know him, Nick?
I know a few people named Nick.
He texted me in the afternoon, who do you want tonight? And I'm like, hard Canadians. And he said, really? He said there's a wide range of opinions on this. I'm like, I think so.
Yeah.
I am almost stunned that you or anybody could have wanted Tampa Bay to win that series. I'm almost stunned by that. I understand the logic and the points you've made about it, but I'm so glad they're dead.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way going in. It was more or less like watching what I did of that series when it wasn't matched up against the Sabres. And I just sort of felt like that. I feel like that's a puzzle I'm going to have an easier time solving than Montreal. Like Montreal, I think is they're young and fast, and like that probably will be great. Like it'll be fun to watch. Like,
young, dumb, and fast.
Yeah, and I think the Sabres are kind of the same. And so I don't know. Maybe both of these teams will take turns locking each other up. The Sabres have certainly proven to be, worth their weight in locking teams up. But I don't know that they can do what Tampa was doing to Montreal yesterday. I mean, 9 shots on goal in a win, four through into the third period with 4 shots. It was kind of incredible the way it was happening. So I think matchup-wise, it's the more fun matchup. But I just thought Tampa...
In so many ways.
Sure. Yeah, like geographically awesome. That market is incredible. It'll be great to be in the crosshairs of Canadian hockey here. Like
nostalgia.
It all totally works. But I thought Tampa might have been a little easier. That's all.
Tampa had would love opinions on this. Tampa had the 8-7 game. You had like a little bit of a bloodthirst, I think, element with Tampa that isn't there with the Canadians unless it's about the fans, and they're just we're just probably jealous that they can move into our building, which probably will be different now. Hopefully will be different now. Part of my, admittedly, not all of my desire to have Tampa lose is about matchups. It's more just like about the Lightning were the guy it's always a guy, isn't it, on the throughway that blows by you at 90 and he's weaving in and out, and there's always a second car with him. Like it's a race that you're stuck in the middle of. And I have very dark thoughts about those people. Like I don't even, you can guess what they are.
Like
you're putting all of us.
What happens if I flick the edge of your bumper on your way by? Thoughts?
Can we put a tree in the middle of the left lane?
Okay, yeah. So yeah,
like you're putting all of us in danger, and just for your joyride. That's the Lightning for me. They get away with so much, and I don't know. Like this doesn't have to be supported or supportable, but I've always hated sports teams like that. I think they're just a bunch of bullies.
Well, that's a part of I'm so glad you got there because I didn't make that a part of my front page. I thought it was possible that they could still be distracted by we're going to push you around. And I think they tried to do that with Montreal early in the series, like maybe to their detriment. I mean, whatever. I don't know. They traded 1-goal wins for 7 games here, so it's not like anybody ever really took control of the series. It was even. But I thought Tampa, and I think to their detriment, I think I read, I think Pierre LeBrun on this today, that some people are observing the Lightning thinking they tried too hard to be like Florida. Like they saw Florida intimidating everyone, bullying everyone, and they've tried to do that to Florida, or Florida's tried to do that to them, and like that was what that 8-7 game was all about, and other games they've had this season where they're trying to assert their dominance physically on you and intimidate you. And I was 100% here for that because I think they would have been wasting their time, and I think that could have been to the Sabres' benefit. if their power play ever gets going, or just if Tampa were distracted by it. But whatever, we don't get it.
Well, I'll say that I think I can make almost as good an argument that Montreal is the better matchup for the Sabres than the Lightning, even though, of course, those are all good points. I want to be confident about the Sabres' depth versus the Canadiens, although the Canadiens did just win a series in 7 in Tampa without getting a boatload from their best guys, and that was the scary thing, maybe the number one, the scariest thing about the Canadiens going in was like their top line.
Yeah, that's right.
People said they were as good as anybody.
They even broke it up. Like Josh Anderson was playing with Caulfield and Suzuki, and Slafkovsky was with Demidov and somebody else. I forget who now.
So they won anyway.
Yeah. 1 goal from Caulfield in the series, early in the series. 1 goal from Suzuki last night, first goal.
That was a funky one, too.
That was funky, too. That's right. And
plus-
Slafkovsky had a hat trick in the first game and didn't score again.
They got a +6 from another line in the series. Texier.
Yeah.
Those guys. Is that Doc? I'm not sure. We'll get to know this. But that I say we, like you guys don't know this already. I might not. But they did win. So I'm not sure that that's sort of on point that the Sabres have them in the rolling lines category. But, man, give me the Benson line against those top guys, and let's just see what the rest looks like. I just can't wait to see it. The goalie was outstanding for Montreal. So was ours. And I don't know if that's not a coin flip going into round 2. They've got home ice. I just love it.
Yeah, I definitely feel very good about it. I'm not, like, intimidated or worried. I wouldn't have been without. I think it's worried to the extent that you're probably going to have, 5 or 6 one-goal games here, and it's going to be really tight, and there's probably going to be some overtime and some drama and some moments, more moments. That's what you buy when you buy more playoff rounds, is you buy more moments.
Well, you know what else it is? Like, so we've got a couple days, a little bit of a moment here where we can give, some perspective or try to share our feelings about how it's gone so far and what all of this is. Are we not all still pinching ourselves over the whole thing? Given how sudden all of this is, that the Sabres are this good. I think there's probably, dare I bring this point up, were they to lose in round 2, there's probably going to be a feelings difference between losing to this team and losing to Tampa. What that would have been. Or even like a Florida or some other kind of recent blue blood, if that's not contradictory, some other team that's kind of been ruling things in the division, or even Carolina somehow. Like, I think...
Yeah, Montreal shouldn't outrank you really in any way other than, heritage.
Boston was this too. Boston has all this history with the Sabres and, since the Sabres have last been good. But they were last in the division last year. They were below the Sabres last year. So you didn't really want to lose to Boston. We've done our share of that over the years, but not given like the present terms. Like that wouldn't have been a loss that you could have like felt any kind of good about. And, it didn't happen. And I think the Canadiens are close to that as well. They were not last in the division last year. They've had some good seasons, but they're so young that I don't know, like the season series went the Sabres' way. I know they played 3 times together in January, and the Sabres won 2 of those 3 games. I was at the one that they lost, but it was still like a very even game. They all were. They were all
pretty close.
Close
competitive games. Yeah.
So it's not a team where you can go, well, I mean, geez, this is all out of nowhere. If they lose this round, what can you say? There's that, but it's not the same to me as if they were playing the Lightning or a team that's just been so dominant over the years. I mean, there is still, and we saw this in round 1. What did we talk about during the Bruins series? I mean, on Friday, this was a big point because here was game 6, and this has all been so much fun, and it's never better than when it's unexpected. Like, there's no real pressure here, like with the Bills, all these points. And so they're going to Boston. Like, well, I appreciate how much fun this has been, but you cannot lose now. You're up 3-1.
Right.
You had the better season, home ice, chance to clinch at home, goes to overtime, you lose. You can't lose the series now because then a lot of the satisfaction goes away.
No, it is replaced definitely with disappointment.
Yes, and now I think we have another level of that, where it's still, imagine at Thanksgiving being disappointed if this Sabres season ended in the second round. I mean, that would have been ridiculous.
Right.
Would have been, I mean, other than sort of like the obvious, you never want to choose losing, but if this team from the beginning of this season had topped out in the second round, we all would have been, that's awesome. You're back. Tell me how you did it. But at least we don't have the drought anymore. And you even won a round. I mean, not since 07 had they won a round. Anyway, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I largely feel that way about this series. Like, I hear you, like, Montreal's not Tampa, but they did just beat Tampa. I think they're every bit of quality as you are. And from here, I mean, I might as well just get out some coins and start flipping them. I think it's going to be that close. And I do feel, for me anyway, as a fan, my level of fulfillment is, like, you didn't blow the series against Boston. You're into the second round. And I'm not going to say it's house money or it's all gravy or anything from here, but to me, anything can happen, and I'm going to find it hard to be, like, attacking whatever their shortcomings turn out to be, if they were to lose. I'm not saying that can happen or won't happen. I'm certainly not here to police it. I'm just telling you, for me, I just feel like the exhale of having lost Game 5 and the opportunity at home to put Boston out and having to go back there again, like, I was kind of holding my breath into Friday and, like, okay, yeah, they did the thing. Okay, we got another 10 days of this at least, and so we'll see. But I feel like the specter of it really being a disappointing outcome is almost off the table for me with the fact that they're into the second round, regardless of who they're playing. So, and because I think it's so close anyway, like Tampa, Montreal, I think it's the same series to me. I'd feel the same way going into it, regardless of who we're playing.
What do you think the majority opinion on that was? Do you think you were in the majority, like whatever?
No, I think it Tampa.
I was.
I would, yeah, I think I would guess. And I'm not trying to be contrarian, because I definitely felt ranking these teams before the playoffs, Tampa was the one I wanted to avoid in round one the most, right? Like that to me, but once it got going and looking at those two teams playing one another, I sort of flipped. But again, it's not pronounced enough for it to even be, much of a difference at all.
Well, you're big on faces, right? Everyone, Bulldog is known for this. He's big on faces that he wants to punch, punchable faces. I mean, Corey Perry.
I'm going to have to get to work on Montreal here.
Hagel.
Yeah. Oh, Hagel for sure.
Cooper.
Yeah.
I mean, the goalie has a mask on. Kucherov. Radish. Radish became, I don't know who, Gonchar or somebody for me from my past. He became somebody that I just like, oh, my God, this guy. I thought in Game 6, so that game, that's Friday night now, ancient history, but Friday night is Tampa at Montreal, then Buffalo at Boston, and Tampa starts half an hour earlier. So we're all there in time to watch the beginning of that game. And Radish has a look. This is the big 43 on Tampa with the slap shot. And he blasts it off the goalie's mask. Dobish. Got to get to know that name.
Mm-hmm.
Off the goalie's mask. And no one says anything, of course, right? Because they all work for the league. But they had close-ups on the goalie, and he's like, he's shaking his head and sort of, just trying to remember what his name is, I think, maybe in that moment. Mm-hmm. Nobody says anything because you can't, because whatever, you'll get fired. But I'm like, what do I go and do? And I tell Sam, too. I don't know if he went with me, if he tailed me on this, but I just went and bought all the Tampa overs for that game.
Okay.
Like, this goalie is off.
Yeah.
And, like, the next play, he's behind the net, and he gets stuck. Like, he just can't find the puck, comes right out. The Tampa guy puts it right through his legs across the crease and out.
Yeah.
I'm like to myself, I know I'm right. This guy is
he can get got right
struggling.
Here. Yeah.
And what happens? Goes 0-0 to overtime.
Yeah.
So
he stabilized, I guess.
I guess he was. I mean, all's good.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah, he was great
He'll
last night.
He'll never feel
again.
it in his future. But, yeah, right. He was great again last night. So, anyway, Friday night seems like a long time ago.
But what a beautiful night.
You and I both went out after the game?
Yes, I did.
Separately?
I didn't know you did. I did, yes.
I did.
Yeah.
I had to.
Same. And I didn't even know, Jeremy White from our morning show was at the bar that I would normally go to. He'd been there for the whole game.
That's why I didn't go there.
And we hadn't been in touch all night. Like, I didn't know he was there. I was just like, I'm going. That's where I'm going. And I walk in and he's there. And it was really nice. Really, really great. And the last 2 days, man, like, I don't know. Like, I'm in here every day with you. So I don't know how much of our audience would have been thinking about you before the playoffs got here. Like, I want this part to last. Man, having a weekend where you wake up on Saturday and one of the first things, if you're like we are, I guess, I don't know, maybe my priorities are out of whack. Like, the first thing you think of when you open your eyes is they won. They're in the second round. Like, I was joking around with some friends yesterday, getting up at 2 a.m. to go to the John, like Saturday morning, Sunday morning. It was like, little smile. Like, yeah, back to bed. Let me get back under the covers. I mean, it's been so long since we've had it, and it just feels so great.
So if you woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning Saturday to go to the bathroom, you were not at the airport?
I did not go to the airport. That's correct. You've got me on that.
Lots of people did.
Yep. Good for them.
Good for them.
I was glad to see Darlene post the footage of it. That's how I found out about it.
Me too. And although it didn't surprise me that there was a crowd there, I assumed there would be. Darlene's Instagram post is best fans in the world. And what would he have said a year ago?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
I've never spoken with him.
He'd never experienced anything like this here. 7-8
years into his career. And he might have, how would you have been, you think? Respected the tradition of the team. This is my team. I'm the captain now. I know enough people in 7 years that I know that there's like a passion for this, but I go, there's lots of games where I don't really sense it because we're out of it and it's more depressing than it is inspiring. So maybe he thought 5 years ago the Sabres had the best fans in the league, or maybe he decided that in February
right.
or yesterday. Right. Like, just because now, if you just woke up to this, and we have been in and out of this kind of experience where we know how peaked it can be when it's this. And we are at that point right now.
I wonder how much of an impact any of the games where they would have gotten a taste of it, even whether they had any impact on those guys or not. Like RJ night, Ryan Miller night, 05-06 night happened this year, and they were already blazing hot by the time that happened. But there were I've referenced a Minnesota home game on a Saturday night during football season from 3 or 4 years ago a couple times, where the building was just packed and everyone was really into it. And on the way out, people were singing the shout song, and it was just really there's a half a dozen or more games during Darlene's career where I think he got the full dosage. But they've been rare, and I just wonder if those are things like when he would be, hanging up his skates or his head hitting the pillow. Like, we need to get to where that's happening, twice a week here. And it took a long time. But there have been little pockets where you got the full thing.
Well, if I were Darlene or a player on the team with any sort of time to think about that, I'd be very proud of what I and we have accomplished in bringing this all back. It's a symbiotic experience where the fans are feeding off the players' success, and you can feel their passion and their brand loyalty, if you will. Like, it's believable, like it always would be. When a team is good, like they'd win if they played on the moon, they would want to win for each other and all of that, and of course the great fans of the moon. But like that would just organically happen. But I think it goes the other way too. Like, I think you're sort of proud of each other, if that's not too schmaltzy. And like everybody's smiling. I
think you should know. Yeah, I think this is what happens. Maybe some of these guys have already talked about some of this to some extent. I think you get a sense, when you're a part of something that feels special. because most of the time doesn't feel special. That's what makes special special. So a lot of the other time, probably in your NHL career, like it's a great life, but it's pretty ordinary. We got a game in Pittsburgh tomorrow. We got a game at home against Minnesota Friday, or whatever. And you just sort of go through it. And then when you get a year and a group that seems to just meld together like this team has with the fans, I think you know that the overall is way bigger than you ever thought it could be.
Well, Darlene deserves so much credit for it. And the pass to Tuck to open the scoring on Friday night, I just loved that play. I mean, just watch it. It's one of those we could really break down. Watch his legs open up. Watch the puck from Darlene's tape to Tuck's, because it comes off the ice. It's not really a saucer pass. There's no time for that because it's so tight. But it's not just along the ice, I think. It's more just like sort of a perfect, a little bit of an elevation, and then Tuck has nothing to do but bury it. Just what a great start to that game. 803-0550 for your calls. Paul at 4, Travis Yost at 5. Let's enjoy this. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
For more comfort.
Now's the perfect time to make yourself comfortable with a new electric heating and cooling system from Belknap.
In Western New York, summer and winter bring extreme temperature conditions. Make yourself comfortable with Mitsubishi electric heat pumps, designed to keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter, no matter how hot or cold it gets outside. Call Belknap today to learn more.
I'm Gary Garfel, president of Belknap. We work on your schedule. We don't charge more for weekends and evenings. That's why we say,
give Belknap a ring.
And heritage.
Boston was this too. Boston has all this history with the Sabres, and since the Sabres have last been good, but they were last in the division last year. They were below the Sabres last year. So you didn't really want to lose to Boston. We've done our share of that over the years, but not given like the present terms. Like that wouldn't have been a loss that you could have felt any kind of good about. And it didn't happen. And I think the Canadians are close to that as well. They were not last in the division last year. They've had some good seasons, but they're so young that I don't know, the season series went the Sabres' way. I know they played 3 times together in January, and the Sabres won 2 of those 3 games. I was at the one that they lost, but it was still a very even game. They all were. They were all
pretty close.
Close
competitive games. Yeah.
So it's not a team where you can go, well, I mean, geez, this is all out of nowhere. If they lose this round, what can you say? There's that, but it's not the same to me as if they were playing the Lightning or a team that's just been so dominant over the years. I mean, there is still, and we saw this in round 1. What did we talk about during the Bruins series? I mean, on Friday, this was a big point because here was game 6, and this has all been so much fun. And it's never better than when it's unexpected. There's no real pressure here, like with the Bills, all these points. And so they're going to Boston. I appreciate how much fun this has been, but you cannot lose now. You're up 3-1.
Right.
You had the better season, home ice, chance to clinch at home, goes to overtime, you lose. You can't lose the series now because then a lot of the satisfaction goes away.
No, it is replaced definitely with disappointment.
Yes, and now I think we have another level of that, where it's still, imagine at Thanksgiving, being disappointed if this Sabres season ended in the second round. I mean, that would have been ridiculous.
Right.
Would have been. I mean, other than sort of like the obvious, you never want to choose losing. But if this team from the beginning of this season had topped out in the second round, we all would have been, that's awesome. You're back. Tell me how you did it. But at least we don't have the drought anymore. And you even won a round. I mean, not since 07 had they won a round. Anyway, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I largely feel that way about this series. Like, I hear you, like, Montreal's not Tampa, but they did just beat Tampa. I think they're every bit of quality as you are. And from here, I mean, I might as well just get out some coins and start flipping them. I think it's going to be that close. And I do feel, for me anyway, as a fan, my level of fulfillment is, like, you didn't blow the series against Boston. You're into the second round. And I'm not going to say it's house money, it's all gravy or anything from here, but to me, anything can happen, and I'm going to find it hard to be, like, attacking whatever their shortcomings turn out to be, if they were to lose. I'm not saying that can't happen or won't happen. I'm certainly not here to police it. I'm just telling you, for me, I just feel like the exhale of having lost Game 5 and the opportunity at home to put Boston out, and having to go back there again, like, I was kind of holding my breath into Friday and, like, okay, yeah, they did the thing. Okay, we got another 10 days of this at least, and so we'll see. But I feel like the specter of it really being a disappointing outcome is almost off the table for me with the fact that they're into the second round.
How hard this series was going to be, what a challenge it was going to be to try to take out a good team. Boston's a good team. And then to do it on the road with a team that had played so well at home, one of the better home records in the league. I thought our guys dug in, gave us a heck of a game tonight.
Lindy Ruff and the Sabres on to round 2.
Just a professional job Friday. I mean, I know it was a close. They had the lead. Boston got their goal in the second period, so it was tight. I mean, until Doan makes that play, that's like 6 minutes or so into the third period, when he beats the two best guys on the Bruins. So I don't want to overdo this, but it just, because I was preparing to be pretty tense. Like, I thought, like, it's 2-1. It's probably going to be. Maybe we should just be hoping for 2-1. Like, maybe we get an empty netter at the end. But, like, hold on tight here. This is going to be quite a 45 minutes or so. But in the end, like, I think they made one mistake in the game. The Quinn pass to Dahlin that gets blown up, and they go the other way on the 2-on-1 and get their goal. I just felt like that was an assassin silently coming into an apartment and putting the silencer on the gun and just getting out the window. Like, no trace. Like, just, it was so efficient what they did. Again, 2 games in a row in this series. It got a little nasty at the end there when Benson slew-footed McAvoy and he came back at him with the two-handed chop. But that's 2 games in a row in this series that there was not. Think about the last time there was, like, a scrum around the gun. There was none of that. It was very tame. By, like, playoff standards.
I thought about Dahlin individually for this because through the Lightning games late in the season and more conversation about him and the spotlight on him, we sort of had a minute of, what does he actually do that's so annoying?
Right.
And in this series, there didn't seem to be anything. Like, there was no retribution against Dahlin for anything. I mean, Boston took sort of its half measures at representing as, like, the big bad Bruins,
right,
but they never really looked like
after
it.
Zadorov went after him in that home game, right? Was that in Boston? I don't know.
That was in Game 4.
That was in Game 4. Sorry, that was okay. I thought maybe that was going to continue. That's what I mean. Kind of like Game 5, we were there. There wasn't anything at all, like confrontational, gloves in the face, like whatever.
Well, I thought maybe Boston felt it couldn't afford it.
Yeah, I maybe, but it just sort of went away. And I think,
But that wasn't anything that Darlene inspired that I know of, or that we would know of.
Yeah,
it was
I don't
more
know.
just like, well, we're getting killed. He's the captain. Like, he's the guy you go after.
I'm going to hammer you. Yeah.
And I thought it was more just sort of like weak like that.
An opportunity presented itself, so, you're here, I'm going to hit you. Yeah, but it was just pretty tame. I think Boston in the end just sort of just went away. And it should not be lost on anyone that Darlene beat their two best guys to that, or Doan beat their two best guys to that puck.
I love that.
Like that is there's a face-off in the Buffalo zone. The two of them are talking, trying to figure out what we're going to do, and then the puck just gets by them, and Doan is just, I'm going.
Well, Doan breaks up the play to Pasternak. Like Pasternak, Boston's set play is for him, as it would be. And Doan breaks that up. And then it's on to, off to the races, into the corner. And Pasternak, who might have been a little bit, annoyed by that, I mean, he's going full speed, but he's also leaving two Sabres alone. I mean, he couldn't have covered both of them.
Right, but someone could have stayed in front of the net.
Right. I mean, it's Benson and who else? I mean, just
Norris is there. Norris
like
is
they're
there.
both just like ready for that puck. And then you have McAvoy just elbow to the head, Doan into the glass. He makes that play. Then he doesn't even know what happened, I think, for a minute.
And credit to him. I think he said, or has said, I feel like I've read that he recognized these guys aren't playing the puck. They just want to hammer me. So I've got an opportunity to make a play here. And smartly was able to get it out there. And credit to Benson when that I mean, and I know it all happened so fast. So like we're not breaking this down frame by frame, but like you see the puck go to the front of the net and all you see are two Sabres there. And I'm like very quickly in my head, like, well, you better not screw this up. Right. And Benson's instinct is to just shoot it right away. Because he could have easily just passed it to Norris. They had time. There was nobody from Boston really there. But Benson just got it past him. But I think Swayman looked like he got a piece of it, and then it went up higher in the net. But
that's another one where
credit to him to just not fool around there.
Like Thompson in Game 1 on the tying goal, it's another one where I wondered, does Benson put the puck where he wanted to? Because there is nothing. I mean, you can always go just above the pad. I think a shooter kind of has that instinct, but the glove is right there too. He doesn't pick the corner. He just I mean, this is a lucky one a little bit where it's just between the glove and the pad and it pops up into the corner. Just so much like the Thompson goal in the opener where it's like, how did he do that? And it's under the pad. Right? We talked about that one
Thompson
for days.
Yeah.
Where it goes under the pad, but by the time you see it hit the net, it's in the air. Like, well, I guess just like millimeters there, but worked out.
But
that's a legendary goal.
It's another one of these plays. I think there was a play. I don't remember the game now. Was it? Oh yeah, I think was it one of the Tampa games that said that Doan made a play where he tracked a guy into the neutral zone, just took it away and went into the zone and scored. Was that the 8-7 crazy game? I don't remember.
Had to be.
Either way, no, his goal was at the goal mouth in that game. Anyway, whatever.
He scores the 8-7 goal.
He played. He made a play in a game. Yeah, I'm thinking of a different play where I know I came in the day after and said like. That's the play of the year right there because that's who they are. He maybe single-handedly had the most to do with changing this team's attitude about playing defense and coming back and just being dogs on pucks and not giving up. And that is still, to me, the most transformative thing that has happened to them this year is that Tage Thompson kills himself to get back into the zone and break up plays. Like everybody to a man is doing that consistently. I mean, here's a play where it's not breaking up a play, but it's just all dog. It's all chase. It's dog in a car, and I'm going down there, and I'm going to get this, and I'm going to make this happen. And it's just encapsulates so much of who they have been this year.
Right on. Here's Steve with us. Hi, Steve.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good, man.
Hey, Chris, I called you last Wednesday. Remember I was telling you I was going down with my son. I don't know if you remember.
Sure.
My wife's been,
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, you had to check with it. Yes, I remember very well.
Yeah. Just wanted to tell you what I experienced, how it went for us. As soon as we got in the arena, we were, heckled, with our Sabres garb. people, screaming, "You suck," and all that. And I just replied, "So does your chowder." And they are just like relentless. And then we got to our seats and talked to a nice gentleman who worked for the NFTA. He was a good guy, but in front of us and in the back of us were definitely some crazies. So they were really giving it to us. I really wasn't paying attention, but apparently my son got into it with them. And one of the exchanges was, "How's that Josh Allen thing working out for you?" And I just heard my son say, "How's that Diana Rossini thing working out for you?"
Yeah, great. So it was a little hostile, you're telling us here, Steve.
It wasn't too bad. At the end of the day, my son and I actually consoled them and told them what a great sports town they have.
Yeah.
And they actually took a picture with us.
All right.
And
that ended well
after after the picture, they said, "We still think you suck." But they were all right. It wasn't like nobody was threatening our lives or anything. So all in all, it came out pretty good.
Had you ever been to an elimination game before, like a game where the Sabres won a series before?
No.
I'm so jealous of you. That is why we went Tuesday, is I just like a lot of other Buffalonians, like wanted to see it and feel it, and I'm so glad for you that you got paid off by making that drive.
No, it was awesome.
Good.
It was awesome. All right, take care.
All right, Steve.
Sabres are about 50-50 in the second round. I saw a Bet Online email early this morning that had them as about a 54% favorite. When I went to DraftKings more recently, it was both teams were minus 110. So, in fact, on that front, the Canadians in the morning had the shorter cup odds, but the Sabres were the series favorite, which I can't explain. Maybe something about Carolina as a matchup. I don't know. But it's all pretty close. I think, and I'm here for, people to tell me that I'm crazy, but I have done some research on this. I think the Sabres are Canada's team right now.
I hope that's right.
I think we are Canada's team. I think the Canadians are Quebec's team.
Mm-hmm.
But Canada is not the same as Quebec.
I think that's
if there's one province.
There's a long history of that. I think.
I mean, it's the Montreal Canadiens
on the subject, but I think that's right.
24 cups. The Sabres are extremely likable. I'm sure I'm biased, but I'm also pretty sure I'm right. As an underdog, the story, Buffalo's story, and the Sabres' own story. I texted my brother-in-law in Toronto. Hope he doesn't mind being cited publicly as a source on this topic. But I said, am I crazy for thinking that Canada would be rooting for the Sabres? I also have this friend in Vancouver, Jacob Sanderson, who is all about the Sabres in these playoffs. His Leafs are out, and they keep making good headlines. And
they're having a day today.
My brother-in-law said, absolutely. He's like, Toronto is fully for Buffalo, and every place west of here would be too. So I think we are Canada's team. In fact, if we're not puffed up enough just having sung that anthem last week, we could make Canada's team signs with Sabres logos. Not that we aspire to that exactly.
Right.
But I think, Montreal is one team. Maybe if it's Winnipeg or even the Leafs, you might have sort of a national, everybody comes together. Like, this is that's their only team left.
Edmonton would probably get this treatment. They've gotten it, I think, the last 2 years when they've made the final.
Maybe. They've won their share too, but maybe they'd all be the same except for Canadians. But I think I'm right that a lot of Canadians would be rooting for the Sabres here.
Everything's coming up Buffalo. Love to hear it.
Don't you? Paul Hamilton at 4, so 20 minutes from now. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR. Mike Schopp here.
Glad to see Darlene post the footage of it. That's how I found out about it.
You know, me too. And although it didn't surprise me that there was a crowd there, I assumed there would be. Darlene's Instagram post is best fans in the world. And what would he have said a year ago?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
I've never spoken with him.
He'd never experienced anything like this here.
7-8 years into his career. And he might have, I mean, how would you have been, you think? Respected the tradition of the team. This is my team. I'm the captain now. You know, I know enough people in 7 years that I know that there's like a passion for this, but there's lots of games where I don't really sense it. Round 2 of the NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Some would rather you call it. Game 1, Sabres home to the Montreal Canadiens Wednesday night at 7. People, reasonable people. Order has been restored, and we're going to start these things at 7.
3 in a row. Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Game 3 in Montreal will also be at 7.
Okay.
Mother's Day. Yeah, I like that a lot. Last of the second-round series to get going will be this Sabres-Montreal series. In Montreal, I read this morning we're initially planning to fly right up here, but have decided instead to stay and practice a couple of days in Tampa and not fly up here until Tuesday afternoon. But immediately, like this, one of the first things I saw this morning was from Eric Engels, who's Sportsnet on the Canadiens beat, and said they're coming right to Buffalo and we'll practice here for 2 days before the series. But then they tabled that and are staying in Tampa. But anyway, they're not going home, is the point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not like Montreal's so far away, but maybe, I don't know.
Customs. That's got to add some time on each end.
Sure.
I don't know how much. Paul would know.
Do they just like cruise through there? I don't know. Yeah, Paul he doesn't anymore, but he used to travel like that with the teams. Well, with the Sabres.
When I think of going to Montreal, like one of the first things I think of is being in that airport stuck. Because we might have had to go, that's with the Blizzard, the soccer team. Mm-hmm. We might have had to go through Detroit to get home from Montreal or something like that. Or we sometimes through Toronto, no biggie. But yeah, just, you can't really base it on that. It's one time thing. I have other great memories of being there. I went to the last Montreal Canadiens game in the Forum that was against the Rangers. I probably could have ordered the different aspects of that.
It was the last Ranger game at the Forum, not the last game at the Forum.
Right. It was the last Rangers game at the Forum. It was so cool. First and only time there, right after Patrick Waugh had been dumped after his whole problem. So it's Tebow, I think maybe against Glenn Healy were the goalies in this game.
All right.
I sat, maybe halfway up on the end with some friends. We went to Chez Paris the same weekend, and that was extremely awkward, but, memorable. Right. Mostly good. Yeah, lots of great. I was in Montreal in December for a day with my son, and that was cool, although it was dark at 3:30 and snowy, and traffic was terrible.
3:30.
It was like 3:30 in the afternoon. It was dark right at the end of the solstice Bulldog. It's a Bulldog word right there.
Oh, sure.
Montreal wins Game 7 in Tampa with 9 shots. The Avalanche scored 9 goals the same night in their game, 9-6, tying Buffalo-Tampa 8-7 for the most prolific goal-scoring game of the season/playoffs in the NHL, 15 goals.
Not only that, but they were up 3-0 and 4-2, fell behind 5-4, and then stormed back. And that was all against the same goalie. Wallstedt, he's been great for Minnesota, but I conked out halfway through that game. And when I woke up and saw the score, I thought, they must have pulled him. No, he gave up 8, the empty netter at the end, but they stayed with him. Both teams stayed with him. I mean, at 9-6, that's not your typical playoff score. That's like Edmonton in the 80s.
Yeah. In that pool that I run that you're in, I mean, you're trying to get the teams right, firstly, because it's throughout the entire playoff. But then there are those times where you don't pick a certain team or 2 teams and they combine for 15 goals, right, which is maybe more than the entire Carolina-Ottawa series, actually.
Right.
So you got to get it both. You not only have to get the team right, but you got to get the goals.
Yep.
And it's got to be to your guys.
That's right.
or else I'm dead in that thing. Too much.
Oh, me too.
Utah.
I only picked players from 4 teams, and 2 of them are out.
Tampa.
I had Utah and Tampa. Yeah, Tampa was a stupid pick.
I had Dallas, and then Edmonton.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, you're cooked.
Even with Philadelphia and Montreal through, I'm definitely cooked.
Could use Philadelphia to show up tonight. I hope they do.
Me too. Paul Hamilton, now you have to root for that series to go 7.
Right.
Paul Hamilton after sports. Game 1, Wednesday night, round 2. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. Because we're out of it, and it's more depressing than it is inspiring. So maybe he thought 5 years ago the Sabres had the best fans in the league, or maybe he decided that in February
right.
or yesterday.
Right.
Like just because now, if you just woke up to this, and we have been in and out of this kind of experience where we know how peaked it can be when it's this. And I mean, we are at that point right now.
I wonder how much of an impact any of the games where they would have gotten a taste of it, even whether they had any impact on those guys or not. You know, like RJ night, Ryan Miller night, 05-06 night happened this year, and they were already blazing hot by the time that happened. But there were I've referenced a Minnesota home game on a Saturday night during football season from 3 or 4 years ago a couple times, where the building was just packed and everyone was really into it. And on the way out, people were singing the shout song, and it was just really there's a half a dozen or more games during Dahlin's career where I think he got the full dosage. But they've been rare, and I just wonder if those are things like when he would be, hanging up his skates or his head hitting the pillow. Like, we need to get to where that's happening, twice a week here. And it took a long time. But there have been little pockets where you got the full thing.
Well, if I were Dahlin or a player on the team with any sort of time to think about that, I'd be very proud of what I and we have accomplished in bringing this all back. I mean, it's a symbiotic experience where the fans are feeding off the players' success, and you can feel their passion and their brand loyalty, if you will. Like it's believable, like it always would be. When a team is good, like they'd win if they played on the moon, they would want to win for each other and all of that, and of course the great fans of the moon. But like that would just organically happen. But I think it goes the other way too. Like I think you're sort of proud of each other if that's not too schmaltzy, and like everybody's smiling.
I think you should know. Yeah, I think this is what happens. Maybe some of these guys have already talked about some of this to some extent. I think you get a sense. You know when you're a part of something that feels special, because most of the time doesn't feel special. That's what makes special. So a lot of the other time, probably in your NHL career, like it's a great life, but it's pretty ordinary. We're just we got a game in Pittsburgh tomorrow. We got a game at home against Minnesota Friday or whatever. And you just sort of go through it. And then when you get a year and a group that seems to just meld together like this team has with the fans, I think that the overall is way bigger than you ever thought it could be.
Well, Dahlin deserves so much credit.
The Buffalo Sabres are on to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they will be taking on the Montreal Canadiens. That series, though, is not going to get started until Wednesday, but ahead of Game 1, head coach Lindy Ruff spoke with the media earlier today and did give an update on forward Sam Carrick, saying he is further along than he originally believed, and that Carrick might actually be able to join the Sabres at practice tomorrow. And for more information, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com, and do stay tuned. Paul is going to join the show next. In other Sabres news, Captain Rasmus Dahlin is one of the 3 finalists for the Bill Matherston Trophy that is handed out to the player that best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. And then there are 2 games tonight. Carolina, they host the Flyers at 7. The Hurricanes do hold a 1-0 series lead there. And then at 9:30, Game 1 between Vegas and Anaheim, with tonight's game being in Las Vegas. And in baseball, longtime radio voice of the New York Yankees, John Sterling, was announced to have died today at the age of 87. Sterling was the radio voice of the Yankees for parts of 36 seasons. The Yankees are in action tonight. They are home against Baltimore at 7:05. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Paul Hamilton.
Oh, Cervatic and Hamilton go at each other and Sawinski. But they do it.
We have to fight.
With Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Snodchuk was just totaled by an Iowa State player against the board.
I think it was by Hamilton.
On WGR.
Really a pretty unnecessary hit by Hamilton. Hamilton is still awfully mad. He's being held back.
Number 17, Paul Hill. 2 minutes for charging, 5 minutes for fighting, and a misconduct.
Sports Radio 550.
Oh, Paul. Always causing trouble. The Sabres are on to round 2. How about it? Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, Paul Hamilton on the West Her Hotline. Paul, while we were just thinking about this,
yes,
the Canadiens' choice to stay in Tampa and then travel here, or even had it been just to come here without going home, you have experience in this. How much extra time, legwork is it if they were to have gone home, and whatever that means in terms of flights and customs? Like, would that have been a part of the thinking?
Yeah, it might be. And you've got them on the road. What's the point in just going home and to do what? Basically, say hello and leave. Basically what it amounts to. So a lot of teams will do that in the playoffs. They'll stay and then practice and then leave. You know, it's a kind of common procedure in the playoffs, depending on what time the game ends. You know, in some cases, like if they have a couple of overtimes, they would rather the players not have to travel through the night, just let them go to bed.
Yeah.
You know, type of a situation. So this really isn't all that uncommon in the playoffs.
Pack for Buffalo, perhaps, too, after they'd lost Game 6 on Friday night. Just, be prepared. They might have even known they weren't going to be back home for a week. So
yeah, I doubt they just sprung that on the team.
Yeah, they definitely
want your families to know too. Like we're not coming home Sunday night or Monday morning or whatever. Yeah.
Everybody bring your lucky underwear because we're going right to the second round after we win in Tampa. Well, I don't want to start on that game, so let's get back to the Sabres here and your perspective on Friday night. I mean, Paul, pretty clinical performance to go in there and clinch that way.
Well, we knew that they basically just had to go out in there and use their speed. So Boston can't hold them up and then allow their defense to make plays. And that's exactly what they did. And the Tuck goal is a perfect example. You had the whole Sabre team coming through the neutral zone at full tilt. And Tuck has the puck. Well, the Bruin defense like, uh-oh. And back off they did. And that backed them right off. So it allowed Tuck to easily get the zone. Now the Sabres are coming in layers because here comes Dahlin behind Tuck. And he's coming full speed. So now Tuck, gets in the puck, and he heads to the front of the net. Now you've got the situation of the rotation. Sabres are really the only team in the NHL that does this. And now Tuck gets lost. So nobody grabs him because you got guys going every which way. The Sabres know what they're doing, but the opposition doesn't really. And Dahlin makes a great pass, and Tuck gets a fairly easy goal out of it.
Such a good pass. Such good instincts. I thought Dahlin in the first period Friday night was just at his absolute best. And that play to walk down, how he opens up his legs to give himself like sort of the leverage he needs to make that pass, to talk like he's eyeing it the whole time. And it's just like the perfect threading of the needle. As easy as the goal is for Tuck to score and as maybe bad as the coverage was. But you still need an elite play from Dahlin there.
Yes,
Bravo.
Absolutely. No, and he almost fell, too, and he kept his balance, which wasn't easy either. You know, a lot of guys would have gone down. But he kept his balance and stayed up to be able to make that pass.
We had, and you know, I'm sort of in the mood now, like to sort of talk about how different all three goals were, because here you've got the D involved, and it's a little bit of the high cycle, like you're saying, right? Thompson hands off to Dahlin, he comes down, hits Tuck in front. The second goal is just traffic. I mean, it's the high cycle again, but Tuck and Thompson both. And that means a couple of defenders are there, too. I mean, there's just a schmozzle of people there. And good job by Samuelson to just not worry about, you know, obviously he wants to hit a spot. He's shooting to score there, hoping the goalie can't see it, and he's right. But it's not like it's not the hardest shot he's ever fired. It was pretty much just going to get it there, and it just goes in untouched.
Yeah, and you brought up Thompson, and I thought really from start to finish he was probably the Sabres' best player, I thought. He was all over the ice. I mean, I just constantly saw him, whether it was in front of the net, whether it was behind the net in winning battles on the forecheck, whether it was getting back to make sure he's in on a back check. Just he was all over the place, and he did get 2 assists. And by the end of the 6-game series, he's tied for the scoring lead with 7 points. He and Tuck have 7 points. He hasn't scored since the first game, but he is getting points. And I thought, well, here it is again. I mean, he scores the golden goal in the Worlds, in the Olympics, 2 big goals, and has a great game in the gold medal game. And here in Game 6, in their most important game of the playoffs, I thought he was their best player, and I thought he really showed up.
Yeah, and that kind of thing, like when you start a game and everyone sees that your best guys here. I mean, who are the names that we're mentioning here? It's Dahlin, the captain, Thompson, Tuck, Samuelson, like top pair. All the important guys were there at the start, and maybe like the overall for me, Paul, that I'm most impressed with is just how up to it they seemed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it was just. Did Mike already use the word professional? It was just
clinical.
It was surgical to me. They just went in and just took them out.
At what point does it cease to be at all surprising, though?
Right.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I mean, I think I got to that point maybe 3 quarters through the season. Says, well, you better get used to this because it doesn't seem like because you know what it's like when you haven't been in the playoffs 14 years. Fans are like, all right, when does the bottom fall out? Well, it hasn't fallen out yet. This is kind of longer than normal, but when does the bottom fall out?
Right.
Well, I think once we got into maybe 3 quarters of the way through or halfway through the season, it was rather obvious the bottom wasn't going to fall out and that the Sabres have something here.
How about the Benson goal and Doan on that play, Paul? Fans are going to not soon forget Doan. I think it's the signature, maybe the signature moment of the series or single play of the series, arguably, even though it's not his goal. But what he does to break up the play, it's 8 seconds, maybe 9. From the face-off in their own end to the red light. And Doan in that sprint, taking that hit, all of it. I mean, Bulldog has mentioned what Doan said about the play, how he
recognized that McAvoy and Pasternak, nobody was playing the puck. His instincts were they're just going to try to hit me, so I got a chance to make a play here through their feet because their sticks aren't on the ice. They're not trying to play the puck. They're ready to hit me. They're in a hitting posture, which is a hell of a thing. I talk about the goalie supercomputer all the time because, you know, I'm biased, Paul. But, like, to be skating full out, competing to beat those 2 guys into the Boston zone and win the race, but to also recognize what sort of posture they're both in is just super heady.
Absolutely is. And when the race started, he was in 3rd place.
Yep.
And when the race ended, he was the winner. Because, and I would not be shocked if they came out and said that was the fastest he had ever skated. It wouldn't shock me in the least. That all of a sudden he somewhere found a little bit extra juice in those legs to get himself to be the winner of that race. And that's the way he plays. I mean, those are the 1%ers that Lindy Ruff talks about all the time. You know, that, just do a 1%er and then do another one, and they all add up at the end. Well, that might have been a 1%er there where he just got those legs moving faster than he had never gotten them moving before. And there was enough to win a race. Benson gave him a yell, and he even took the time. I didn't realize until I saw the replay, he actually did peek over his shoulder once he heard Benson because he wanted to put the puck where he could get it. So he even was able to not only out-battle two guys, but take a glance over there to see where he was and where he needed to put the puck.
If I'm not overdoing it here, it's something I so love about this Sabres team is that Benson and Norris do go with him. Like it's 2-1 in the third. You could play it a little safer.
Sure.
But they're both like they could smell it. If he gets there, you get a bounce here, and either one of them could have been the beneficiary.
Where are the rest of the Bruin players? Like how
Lindholm's hanging out in the center ice like there's nothing going on.
It's incredible.
I'm watching him go, did you maybe want to see if you could get back and catch Benson? Any thought at all that you might wanted to do that? I mean, Benson takes off, but nobody else does. It's like, okay. And that's where I think the Bruins failed in some of these games. In Game 4, they absolutely gave up. Game 4, they quit. There's no question. And I saw a little too much of that. I don't think Pasternak finished that play either. I thought he quit on the play. So that's something that Sturm's going to have to coach out of that team.
Back to the Sabres side of that, there was one of the games, earlier games in Boston, 3 or 4, maybe it was Game 4 because they're up early, where Lindy is interviewed by the TNT reporter at the bench, and like, what do you want to see here? And he's like, keep the pedal down. And that's, also reminiscent of the 06 and 07 teams that tried to always just kind of outscore you and outrace you. And I just love that the mentality, evidently, on that goal was we're not trying to protect anything. Like, we're going to play.
We're going to put it away here.
And just keep going.
Or at least try.
Yeah. And that goal almost ends it. I mean, there's always this mentality in hockey just to sort of make sure you don't make a mistake. But you really, it's plus EV, if you will, to keep to go forward. And those guys all sensed that at the same time and cashed it in.
And you brought up Norris, too, and I thought that was his best game. And look at the empty net goal. It wasn't a typical empty net goal. There was a battle on the wall. I believe it was he and Doan, if I'm not mistaken. And I think whoever was in the battle, Doan, might have got knocked down. And then it looked like Norris was going to get knocked down. But they both are like rabid dogs going after a puck. And they just wouldn't give up. And next thing you know, Norris flips a puck by one of the Bruins, and there he goes. And now he gets an empty net goal. But it all came from that battle.
Yeah.
They had to win that battle to score the empty net goal, and Norris was right in the middle of that.
Right. He's fighting there, and the puck bounces toward the Sabres' blue line, and Norris loops around to defend, and then it bounces the other way, and he's first to it.
Yep.
So, yeah, all kinds of good signs.
How about Benson, Paul? I mean, the moment at the end, like I was going to tell you, I loved what he did to McAvoy. It was filthy, and he deserved to get chopped for it. I'm glad he's not hurt, but what a beauty. I'm just going to go with that. What a beauty. Him and his denim vest and his dirt bike. Zach Benson is a folk hero.
I asked Lindy yesterday, I said, he's 20 years old, going to be 21 next month, or this month, actually.
Right.
I said, do you counsel him at all for a better term, being a rat? I mean, do you like sit him down and say, okay? And he goes, actually, I don't have to. He said, the only thing that I had to say to him, he goes, it was last year. And remember we talked about this. He would take penalties while doing it. He would cross the line. And he would put the team shorthanded, and then they get scored on, and it would hurt the team. And he sat him down and just said, look, you've got to draw a line at some point where you're not taking penalties and putting us shorthanded. And Benson has done it perfectly. It's rare that he puts them shorthanded in one of these scuffles, scrums, whatever you want to call them. Rare. He almost always takes somebody with him or gets a power play for the Sabres. And he goes, other than that, he knows what he's doing. He goes, look, he's the first one to the net. He goes, that's annoying. He goes, he's the first one to the battle. He goes, that's irritating. He goes, everything he does is irritating to the opponent because he's the first one there. He goes, he's probably the best guy on the puck that we've got, along with Doan. And he goes, that's annoying. So he goes, that's how he gets the other team starting to get mad at him because he's always there. He's always on them. He used the analogy of like a bug that never goes away. You know, you're swatting at it and it won't go away type of thing. And he goes, he knows how to do it. He goes, he doesn't really need a counsel or anything because he knows what he's doing.
Paul Hamilton on the West Her Hotline. While we're sort of soaking in the Sabres' first-round series win before we get to Montreal, we'll have plenty of time for that. If not today, then, the next couple of days. Alex Lyon, Paul. I saw Alex Tuck after the game asked about him, 5 goals in 4 games, and Tuck basically said, what? How much better can you do than that? Right. And so Lyon held up. He got all the games after game 2 and never flinched.
Yeah, and, earlier today I was talking on air, and Dobish, of course, was the topic, and probably well should be. I understand that. And finally I just said, what about Lyon? All we're doing is focusing on the Montreal goaltender. Lyon, by the way, has much better numbers. Lyon's numbers at both goals against and in save percentage are number 2 behind Freddie Anderson of Carolina. And good for Freddie Anderson. He's never really excelled in the playoffs before, but he sure is so far in these. Huh. And Lyon has just been great. I mean, Lindy thought his team was a little bit nervous in the third period to start the third period in Game 6. And it's the second time he noted nerves in the series. And he said they just started to play out of it a little bit. He goes, then we scored. He goes, that was it. That's all they needed. They were fine.
Yep.
But now when they show a little bit nerve like that, they got goaltending. They're fine. The other team's not scoring on them. Before, a year and a half ago or a year ago, they would have shown nerves like that, and 3 goals would have wound up in the net. But now they can at least hold the opponent off while they find their footing to get going again. And they did, obviously, in the third period. And it was because of Lyon making some really good saves.
Well, Paul, your instincts, I think, ahead of this game on Friday night were right about how they might use Timmins and Kesselring, right? Did they even see a shift together?
I did not believe they did.
It was always, and Kesselring, what did he play, 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
Great call.
It was a very heady by you to recognize that they wouldn't do that. For all the, Lindy always says the right things about Kesselring, but it's pretty clear they're not ready to trust him. So Stanley's better, and I would assume he goes right back in. How about this news about Carrot, Paul? I mean, even after yesterday, I'd heard before the playoffs started that third round for him was what the hope was. Win a couple rounds and hopefully you get him back. And then Lindy seemed to sort of he certainly didn't say he'd be back for round 3, but ruled him basically out. He and Ostlund yesterday out for this second round series. And now today it's, okay, Carrick may practice tomorrow, and I don't know what kind of timeline that means he's on to come back, but it's way sooner than the third round.
And I think that's why Lindy Ruff brought it up today. Nobody asked because we didn't need to. We asked yesterday. And he said, look, he goes, Ostlund's the same. He goes, but as far as Carrick goes, he goes, he's seen the doctor. He goes, he is ahead of schedule right now. And he said, there's a good chance that he will be at practice tomorrow. So at least, he came out and said, now he didn't say when he's going to play, but once players get back in practice, it usually they're pretty close to returning. So I'd say there is a good chance that we might see him in this Montreal series.
And what is the value of that? I mean, does he goes right in. I mean, how big a deal is this?
Absolutely face-offs. I mean, it's just in games that they didn't do well in Boston, a lot of it was they never had possession because they were chasing. You lose the face-off and you're chasing. You're on the power play. You use the face-off, you're going down in your end, and you're going to waste 20 to 30 seconds if you get in. And with the Sabres, sometimes that's an if. So it's just so important at different times to get possession. Carrick, I remember that game right in the beginning when he came to Buffalo against Nashville, and O'Reilly, who's one of the best there is, and there were 2 face-offs within the last 10 seconds of the game, and he won them both from O'Reilly. I mean, so it was like it paid dividends immediately. And he only had 4 goals in 60 games with the Rangers. He had 5 goals with the Sabres in like 13 games. And so they even got a bonus out of that with the goals. He was protecting a teammate or standing up for a teammate when he got hurt. There's just too much, I think, that he brings to the table to say, well, we're on a 4-game winning streak. We can't change the lineup. I think when he's ready, you're changing the lineup.
How do you feel about Montreal versus what would have been Tampa Bay for this second round?
I think Tampa Bay is a better matchup for Buffalo. And we saw that in the regular season. They can't skate with Buffalo. And if Buffalo gets goaltending to hold some of those guys off the board, I think that's an easier matchup. Montreal can skate with Buffalo, and it was a problem in some of the 4 games we saw in the regular season. That's the biggest thing is Montreal can skate with them. But the Sabres still, I think, are a better team by a little. I think it's maybe not as close as I would have said Tampa and Montreal would be, but I think it's a lot closer than Boston and Buffalo was. And if Dobish does what he does, I mean, he and Lyon, it might turn into a goaltending fest. I mean, last night was ridiculous. How do you win a hockey game when he outshot 29-9? As Cooper said after the game, he goes, look, in these playoff runs, there have been things that have gone our way. Definitely. He goes, this one didn't. He goes, they're all not going to go your way. Tampa played fine. They just could not beat a goaltender.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the puck almost the whole game. You don't only give up 9 shots if Montreal has the puck. And it's really what more can you say? Their scorers just couldn't score on Dobish.
Yeah. I wonder, Paul, like how capable either of these teams. We've seen the Sabres lock games down, speaking of Tampa. The last time Tampa was in here, that third period was a work of art defensively by the Sabres. So we know they've got that in them. This series with Tampa was so low scoring for Montreal. I want to respect their ability to at least slow teams down, but we'll see whether they can do that to Buffalo or not. I think we do know it's 2 of the fastest teams in the league. I think I saw a stat. I'm not sure I have it locked down. Maybe like advanced stats that measure like speed, how fast teams and players are skating. The Sabres and Canadiens both have the most bursts of speed between like 18 and 21 miles an hour in the playoffs so far. They are just 2 teams that really love to go get it. Get ready for some river hockey, I guess.
The difference is the Sabres are bigger men up front. Thompson, Tuck, they're bigger and stronger up front. I don't mean to imitate Sturm, but and that could help. Montreal, with the exception of Jack-Eye, have smaller D, and that could wear on them if Buffalo can get in there on that forecheck a little bit. Now, they were debating on the national broadcast, Jack-Eye doesn't get back in. He was a healthy scratch only because of guys like Tuck and Thompson and the size and strength that Buffalo has and the advantage they have with that. But, he came out of the line because Dobson went in.
Right.
Well, of course, Dobson's going to go in.
Right.
But he is a more offensive type of a player than defensive type of a player. So if you're going to put Jack-Eye in, then you're going to have to take one of the other guys out to try to match Buffalo in the size that they can come up with up front.
Jack-Eye is a beautiful Xhekaj. Sadly not eligible in Scrabble, but that is a monster of a name right there.
Mike, you should have saw my jaw drop when he showed up for the prospects tournament.
Yeah.
I'm like looking at Brian going, how are we saying
There's
this
no
now?
way to know.
Let's head to YouTube right now. And
what have I got here?
Wait a minute. Go slow. X.
And guess what? The way it's supposed to be said, I would have had all night, all day, and a week, and I wouldn't have come up with that.
Well, you've done your work. All right, Paul. Here's to round 2. Thanks for your time.
No problem.
There you go. That's our man Paul Hamilton on the Wester Hotline. His appearances here on WGR are brought to you by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this.
Paul's on your team. Thinks the Lightning would have been the better matchup for the Sabres. I am not on that team. 803-0550 for your calls. What a time to be alive. Sabres and Canadiens round 2 opens on Wednesday. Again, an extra day. The Sabres had that extra day. Lyon, too, like going into Game
6. Yeah.
Game 6, they had a little bit more time to sort of brace themselves, if that even needed to happen. But all good on Friday. Lines open, as I said. We'll be back after the update. Travis Yost at 5. This is WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole. Oh,
The Stanley Cup playoffs, they're going to be taking on Montreal, but we do have a little bit of a wait. The series is not going to get started until Wednesday at KeyBank. But ahead of Game 1, head coach Lindy Ruff did speak with the media this morning, did give a bit of an update on forward Sam Carrick, saying he is further along than originally believed and that Carrick might even be able to join the Sabres for practice tomorrow. And for more information on this, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And some other Sabres news. Captain Rasmus Dahlin is one of the 3 finalists for the Bill Masterson Trophy. This is handed out to the player that best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. And, of course, staying with hockey, we do have 2 games tonight. Carolina hosts the Flyers at 7. Hurricanes do hold a 1-0 series lead there. Then at 9:30, Game 1 between Vegas and Anaheim, and Game 1 will be in Las Vegas. And in baseball, longtime radio voice of the New York Yankees, John Sterling, was announced to have died today at the age of 87. Sterling was the radio voice for the Yankees for parts of 36 seasons. The Yankees are home today against Baltimore at 7:05. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Time for some trivia. I know. Call now at 716-221-4WGR 4947 to be the first person to correctly answer our Mother's Day sports trivia question today. If you are, you'll win a $125 gift card to the Woodhouse Spa in Williamsville. It's what Mom really wants for Mother's Day. Here's the question. Before he became a Buffalo Bills legend, this Hall of Fame quarterback's mother, Alice, wrote a letter to his college coaches at Miami to ensure they were looking after him. Who is he? 716-221-4947. We have a week of these.
I look forward to it. I saw.
You know
them.
this one? You think you know this one?
I think I've got it. Yep, I'm pretty confident. I didn't notice. I don't want to say too much. There was a clear tell there that I didn't notice when I reviewed these. Like I did look at them and I sent like a thumbs up back to who I think Sam, our promotions director, came up with these questions, or at least that's how they were presented to me. And this one I should have paid a little more attention. I would have.
What's the problem? What's the issue?
It's not a problem so much.
You're saying there's one particular thing about this question that gives it away?
Yes.
Not all of it?
I'm saying one that gives it away way more than everything else.
Okay. The school?
No.
The fact that he played for the Bills and is in the Hall of Fame?
There it is.
And was a quarterback?
Right.
You think those are
one
of those
at
at least?
That combination of words there, Hall of Fame quarterback. It was
too easy. We'll see. It's Monday. If it's like the New York Times crossword puzzles,
ease into it here.
Maybe by Friday it gets tougher.
Yeah.
As the week plays out.
Yep.
I do the Monday puzzles in like 5 minutes. So today,
right.
that's 5 minutes.
All right.
But like Saturday, I couldn't get there. A streak was broke, like a month-long streak of completed puzzles without hits was broken on Saturday. I know.
How hard was it to put down and walk away from when you realized you were beat?
Not easy. I had a little bit of a busy day, but I went back to it twice more and still I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to, Google some of these words to see.
Right.
I don't do it like that. Yesterday was no problem. Saturday was
a struggle.
Too tough.
Yeah.
This question, not too tough. Do we have a winner yet? Jim Kelly. Yeah. If you didn't know, Jim Kelly is the answer we were looking for.
Yeah. I don't believe that any other Bills quarterback is in the Hall of Fame yet.
To ever play for the Bills? Even? This is going to be bad if we're forgetting somebody obvious. I don't think we are, though.
Drew Bledsoe's not in the Hall of Fame.
No. Flutie, no.
J.P. Lossman.
Guys are in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Fitz. Going way back, Fergie, no. Jack Kemp?
No.
LaMonica, no. Dennis Shaw, yeah, no, I think we're good.
I think we're probably good. There's never like a famous backup.
Ferragamo?
No.
Yeah, no.
Nebraska. There's never a famous backup that
No, I guess not.
hung out here.
Yeah. So that when I heard that, I'm like, oh boy, that's a
We got to the bottom of it.
That's a giveaway. Well, whatever. We don't. It's not like we want these to be so hard that people aren't going to get them right. I mean, that's the idea. It's just a Mother's Day giveaway.
We want them to be gettable.
Right. And that one, I think, was.
Yes. So we have we're just off of our 9th Sabres-Bruins playoff series. So it ends. 9th meeting, 3rd Sabres win. 93-99, 26. Great. Mm-hmm. This will be the 8th Montreal series.
4-3 Montreal.
Montreal is 4-3.
Yeah.
We have 75, your buddy.
Mm-hmm.
We have 83, Bob Sauvé, who I met at a bar right before the Neil Diamond concert downtown a few years ago.
Okay.
Player agent.
Sure, that's right. Yep.
He was ready to talk. He had takes.
All right.
Bob Sauvé. I'd never met him as a kid or anything.
All right.
Or through the years.
Takes about the team, takes about our show.
Not about the show.
Okay. All right.
No, just, he was like kind of strong-headed. He was he had thoughts about whatever it is we were talking about. I didn't interview him.
Yeah.
You're a thoughts guy.
I like thoughts.
Also 98.
98. Right.
I'm not strong on 98.
They're going to play. I was in the building for Barnaby's hat trick on Mother's Day. So too bad. I mean, that's game 3 of this series. Not too bad that the Sabres open at home, but Mother's Day is Sunday. They'll be playing in Montreal on Mother's Day, and that's awesome. It's one of the coolest playoff memories I've got. Again, I don't have a long list, but that was a pretty cool game to be at.
And that's Andy Moog, isn't it? So Mayday.
Oh, Andy Moog
is
the
Andy
Montreal
Moog.
goalie.
I believe so.
Wow, I think that's right.
For that game.
Yeah, I think that is right.
Mayday is Andy Moog, and I think so is that game. They upset Pittsburgh, like a loaded Pittsburgh team.
Montreal did to get there to that second round.
In 98.
And the Sabres swept them.
3 starts for Moog, or 3 appearances, 2 for a young Jose Theodore.
Okay.
And the Sabres swept the Canadiens in that series, right?
Yes.
Nice.
Did Pekka win the series?
I think that's game 3.
That's game 3. Okay, game 4.
Double overtime.
Okay, yeah. Off the bar. You can hear the bar.
You could hear the bar.
And then all you hear is the Sabres going, woo! Coming out the bench. Like
the best.
The building is so quiet. You hear the bar. There's no horn because it's in Montreal. You hear the bar sound, pucks in the net, Sabres yelling.
Is that Bob Cole?
Ooh.
We had Jeanneret. We're probably watching Jeanneret.
Yeah. I don't remember who was on the national.
Who scores the overtime goal in game 1? I think I know. Game 2 is Barnaby. Game 3 is Pekka. Game 4 is a 3-1 road win. Yep.
I don't remember game 1.
Sanderson.
Okay.
Early in overtime. At home, I don't know if it was a night game. Probably was if game 2 was on Mother's Day. Would have been
I would think.
Friday night or something like that.
Yeah.
This is the best. I'm so happy Tampa's dead. I know about you and Paul both are like they're maybe older. Well, they are older. Maybe they're not as fast. Maybe they'll crack under sort of like the Sabres can take their dirty hits and everything else. I just Sabres or no Sabres, I was delighted to watch them lose. I loved watching them lose.
Be careful not to overstate. It was very close to me in my head.
Okay.
But I do think there was something to be said for that. For like Tampa being the better matchup. But it's whatever. It's hardly discernible.
52-48.
51-49.
Not even 52-48.
No.
You had to go and correct that.
50.5 and 49.5.
Oh, come on.
It's very close. And I wasn't just, game 6 happens and Tampa gets it 1-0 in overtime. And that's when, because I was already going into the weekend. I already, talking with friends, whatever, like, I don't know who I want. It's close. And Tampa gets that game 6. And I'm still like, yeah, I'm not just going to change with who wins the last game. I think Tampa is still who I want here. And so, I don't know, whatever. But it doesn't have to make it's hardly discernible is what I would say.
Here's Ellen with us. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, how are you today?
Great, Helen. Thanks for calling. Ellen, sorry.
I just wanted to ask your take on this because I watched the whole game last night between Montreal and Tampa Bay, and both goals Montreal got were lucky bounces.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wondered how you felt about that. I mean, I know getting pressure down to the net is where you want to be because your chances are always better, of course, to score then. But the one, didn't bounce off a defenseman for Tampa Bay and go in the net?
Yes, the first goal
and then
was
the second one.
Yep.
Was that bouncy too?
Yeah, from behind the net. The player was Newhook, bounced it in off of Vasilevsky, the Tampa goalie.
Yeah, so I'm not too worried about Montreal. I mean, they're going to be very, very competitive, but I feel confident. I think we're capable of beating them.
I definitely think we're capable of beating them. I just don't know that they are going to. I think it's going to be close. It would have been close against Tampa. Those kind of the first goal more than the second. The second goal is a great play by Newhook to recognize where he is, where the goalie is, and he's got this opportunity for the bank shot, kind of like how we talked about Kozak in Game 5. All right, like does he have the time? He tried to bank it off the defender. The goalie wasn't in a position for the Kozak play. Going back to last Tuesday now, I know it's a long time ago. I give it's a bad look for the goalie, but I think it's a smart play by the player, by the Montreal player to realize he's got a chance to do that. So that one is a little less fluky to me because the player did exactly what he intended. Suzuki tips that puck like, I don't know, hot middle slot area, and it's going into the corner. And it hits that Tampa player and goes right into the net. I mean, that is nothing but luck.
Thanks, Ellen. Or should I say, thank you for doing this, Ellen.
Oh, there it is. Right. Yes, sir.
A movie that I love, but I don't think is good. Like, maybe a fast food favorite of yours. I know this isn't good, but I still love it. Dave. Nothing on Dave?
It's another one of these movies, Mike.
It's a long time ago?
No one ever quotes to one another except
Dave?
you. Yeah.
Oh.
He's
got the power. That's why he's in the shower.
I base such a blanket statement on a previous lifetime worth of time spent in hockey locker rooms with other grown men in various states of undress. And normally a thing that buffers the awkwardness around being naked around a bunch of other men that you may or may not know very well.
Go on.
Is to just throw movie lines at one another. And Dave just doesn't happen.
It should. It should start today.
You should start playing hockey. Make it happen. There it is. Now's your chance. Why? Well,
now's my chance to play hockey.
You're playing hockey? Why? Because I want to quote the movie Dave in locker rooms, and Bulldog told me that's where that happens.
When we're all naked.
Yeah.
Even better.
Paint a picture, baby.
Although he is naked when he sings the song I just gave you a couple of licks of, so to speak.
You'd have to know the movie to know that.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's fair. Travis Yost at 5. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. Round 2 starts Wednesday night in Buffalo. This is WGR.
And I don't know. I'm in here every day with you. So I don't know how much of our audience would have been thinking about you before the playoffs got here. I want this part to last. Man, having a weekend where you wake up on Saturday and one of the first things, if you're like we are, I guess, I don't know, maybe my priorities are out of whack. The first thing you think of when you open your eyes is they won. They're in the second round. I was joking around with some friends yesterday, getting up at 2 a.m. to go to the John, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. It was a little smile. Yeah, back to bed. Let me get back under the covers. I mean, it's just been so long since we've had it, and it just feels so great.
Alex Lyon, Paul. I saw Alex Tuck after the game asked about him, 5 goals in 4 games, and Tuck basically said, what? How much better can you do than that?
Right.
And so Lyon held up. He got all the games after game 2 and never flinched.
Yeah, and earlier today I was talking on air, and Dobish, of course, was the topic, and probably well should be. I understand that. And finally, I just said, what about Lyon? All we're doing is focusing on the Montreal goaltender. Lyon, by the way, has much better numbers. Lyon's numbers at both goals against and in save percentage are number 2 behind Freddie Anderson of Carolina. And good for Freddie Anderson. He's never really excelled in the playoffs before, but he sure is so far in these.
Huh.
And Lyon has just been great. I mean, Lindy thought his team was a little bit nervous in the third period to start the third period in Game 6. And it's the second time he noted nerves in the series. And he said they just started to play out of it a little bit. He goes, then we scored. He goes, that was it. That's all they needed. They were fine.
Yep.
But now when they show a little bit nerve like that, they got goaltending. They're fine. The other team's not scoring on them. Before, a year and a half ago or a year ago, they would have shown nerves like that, and 3 goals would have wound up in the net. But now they can at least hold the opponent off while they find their footing to get going again. And they did, obviously, in the third period. And it was because of Lyon making some really
Plans are being made for the rest of the week. Game 1 Wednesday night. Who other to have reached out to us asking for more airtime than Ross Tucker,
Right.
who wants us on Wednesday.
He wants another shot at talking about Porter Martone is what he wants.
Maybe. We're a sure thing when it comes to Ross.
Right.
So, easy yes. Tomorrow, Mike Kelly from NHL Network, and maybe also an NHL Network guest on Thursday. Try for EJ again. He's been on twice. You missed it both times.
Yeah, I'd like to be a part of that.
Thank you, by the way, to the multiple listeners who've reached out about how much they love the movie Dave. That's more than one.
That's good. I'm glad they're sending that. I'm not getting any of that, which is fine.
I just am being reminded of a quote from Dave that I just used over the weekend. It's just sort of like ingrained in my head. We're walking, and we're stopping. Laura Linney, I love that. Another listener writes, is Tom Flores in the Hall of Fame? And I bet he is. He was a Bills quarterback for a minute in the 60s and was the Raiders coach for two, not three.
If
2
he's not
Super
in,
Bowl
he
wins.
should be. I think he is in.
I think he's probably in.
Yep. Thumbs up from Zach on that.
But not as a player.
Right.
I mean, he barely ever
not as a Bills quarterback.
started.
Yeah.
EJ Raddick, Thursday at 6.
Look at that.
It's filling up.
Just
If you
like
want to
that.
be on this show, you better get in quick because it's filling up.
Call us now. Or call Zach.
We got Travis next.
Busy. Look at us go.
John Sterling, that's a sad one. What a career. It reminded me of, like, When we got to know Al Michaels, listen to me. If Al's out there, I mean, he's a hockey fan. This week is filling up, Al. But when we were preparing to, well, this is at least for me, preparing to talk to him, you look up his career, like, oh, he was on Hawaii 5-0. Oh, he did this, the Reds in 1970.
Right.
John Sterling is not on the same quite of national prominence level, but somewhat the same in just like how many things he did for 50 years, if not longer, in his career in radio and TV. Rick Camp. You said you watched this
I watched
today.
the highlight of a Rick Camp home run that the setup is John Sterling saying, like, we're in this 2 outs, this guy hits a home run. It's the craziest game like ever.
It is.
And then the guy hits an 0-2 pitch over the left field fence.
It might have already been, but it became that for sure. That was July 4th, maybe 85. And I was a Mets fan, and in those days, being a cool 13-year-old kid, what I would do every night is keep score of Met games on TV.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But that was July 4th, and we had the fireworks across the river into wherever it was, Niawanda or wherever it was in those days. So I couldn't really watch the Met game, but there was a big rain delay that night in Atlanta. So the game, like there were a couple of hours where the game was in a rain delay.
All right.
And I didn't make it. But that's at like 3 a.m. or something.
Right.
The Rick Camp homer. And Sterling basically just like, he brings up the possibility of this pitcher who's never ever gotten a hit or something, hitting a home run. And he does it. And then he gets to bat in the next inning with men on.
Right, that ties the game.
With a chance, the Mets take the lead again, and he ends the game with an out. There's no one left, or else he wouldn't have batted in the first place. Anyway, John Sterling, an all-time great. Travis Yost after sports. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Meaningful games in May. The Buffalo Sabres are on to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they're going to be taking on the Montreal Canadiens. We do have a couple days before this series does get underway, as Game 1 will be on Wednesday at KeyBank. But ahead of Game 1, head coach Lindy Ruff did speak with the media this morning, and we got a bit of an update on forward Sam Carrick, saying he is further along than originally believed, and that Carrick might be able to actually join the Sabres at practice tomorrow. And for more information, Paul Hamilton does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Also, some other Sabres news. Captain Rasmus Dahlin is one of the 3 finalists for the Bill Masterson Trophy that is handed out to the player that best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. And 2 games tonight. Carolina hosts the Flyers at 7. The Hurricanes do hold a 1-0 series lead in that one. And then at 9:30, Game 1 between Vegas and Anaheim. Game 1 is in Las Vegas. Some quick football notes, some quarterback news. Tyrod Taylor is signing with Green Bay and then Baltimore. They are signing Skylar Thompson. And with that, Baltimore now has 5 quarterbacks on their roster. And in baseball, longtime radio voice of the New York Yankees, John Sterling, was announced to have died today at the age of 87. Sterling was the radio voice of the Yankees for parts of 36 seasons, and the Yankees are in action tonight. They are home against Baltimore at 7:05. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I don't think Michael's ever done drugs.
It's Mike Schopp.
I don't know if anyone's ever offered him any.
Let's go over some of the symptoms of marijuana use, shall we? You tell me who this sounds like.
It's the Bulldog.
Slow moving, inattentive, dull, constantly snacking, shows a lack of motivation.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
On to round 2. Not quite yet. Sabres and Canadiens open their second-round series Wednesday night at 7 in Buffalo. If I remember correctly, every game in the series on the schedule has a day off in between.
Yep, it's every other day. Yep.
Every other day. The drum beat.
Love it.
The drum beat is back.
No extra days.
May hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Sabres, Canadiens,
just
great
like
rivalry.
We remember it.
Well, who's that old that can remember the playoffs? I barely can. No, 1983, when the Sabres swept Montreal in the first round, was a great highlight in Sabres history at the time. Back-to-back shutouts in the Forum. I watched those games back not that long ago.
Of course you did.
Bob Sauvé. That first game is scoreless pretty late. Then Brent Peterson breaks the tie. Game 2 is a little easier. Anyway, that's ancient history. I mean, right? Now we have the present. The Sabres and the Canadiens. Our friend Travis Yost has written about the matchup from more of a Montreal perspective, looking at what they might need to do differently in the second round from the first. It's a great win over the Lightning at that in 7 games. And I texted Travis. I'm like, man, I don't want to overdo it with you, but you did just write about this series, and we're over the moon in Buffalo. So how about it? He said, yes. Here we are with Travis Yost of TSN. Step back. How about all this, Travis? I mean, it's a great series win for the Sabres. Here come the Canadiens in the second round. Couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, I could ask for more. I was loving the 1983 series breakdown. I was -7 when that was played. So if you want to keep going in depth there, it was all news to me. It was great. But
all right.
no, a very, very exciting second-round matchup for the Sabres here. And I think, one thing I would say kind of off the rip, I think Tampa Bay was a little bit better than Montreal. So at least like in terms of like, did Buffalo get a favorable draw between the two? Maybe. But I would be reticent to put too much into what I think a lot of Sabres fans concluded likely from Game 7, which was a very weird, very one-sided territorially game. With that, Tampa Bay owned the puck. Montreal, it was like comical. I think they had 4 shots through the first 2 periods. It was pathetic, to be honest. But Montreal didn't really play that way the first 6 games. It was a very even series, and the Canadiens are certainly a very live opponent for the Sabres in round 2.
Yeah, I would not at all. I preferred Tampa, Travis, as an opponent, just considering their age. And I also thought they might think that they would need to establish some sort of intimidation, push you around nonsense like we saw in the 8-7 game, and that could all work for me. But it was always very razor thin. And I certainly do not look at Montreal as like easier because they only had 9 shots, as it turned out, in a series clinching win on the road. I think these are the two maybe most interesting, exciting young teams in the league right now, and there are certainly 2 of them. And I think the speed should be off the charts in this series.
Yeah, no doubt. And by the way, I mean, I think I completely agree. I mean, the margins are razor thin. I bet if you polled 100 Sabres fans, it'd probably be, 52-48 one way or the other between the Canadiens and Tampa Bay. I think my counterpoint to what you said, I think Tampa Bay would have tried to muck it up, and I think we saw in the regular season not very successful against Buffalo. But 2 things there. Number one, Tampa playing that physical brand of hockey in the regular season to not much success against Buffalo, that can be reinforming about how they may have approached the second round series. But I think more to the point, when you have as deep of a team as the Sabres have, right? Not, the Sabres aren't coming with the best line in hockey, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. You can find that around a few different teams around the league. What the Sabres, and we have been banging this drum, and I think accurately, all 3 of us, they are a very deep team. What they may give up in a little bit of like the true top-end superstar cut that some other teams have, they make up for and then some with depth. And when you look at Montreal, an incredibly dynamic top line, but not nearly as deep as Tampa Bay. And I think that's an opportunity for the Sabres here in this series where, the classic, hockey idiom of, we want to roll 4 lines and 3 pairs, blah, blah, blah. Wait, not every series is very forgiving and allows you to do that. I think they're going to be able to do it against Montreal with success. They're going to have to deal with Montreal's top line, but I think if nothing else, Tampa Bay put a lot on tape for the Sabres to chew on over the next 24 hours or so, because first time in a long time, that trio of Caulfield, Slafkovsky, and Suzuki were I don't even want to say slowed down. I would say shut down by Tampa Bay.
They got broken up.
Montreal still advanced. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Anderson was on that top line last night, I think all night. And Slafkovsky was on I forget who he ended up paired up with, but they changed it. I kept thinking, am I in the middle of a line change? Like, why is Slafkovsky out here with different guys? But that was the plan.
They played, 2 of the 3 of the guys, they split up a little bit because I think Slafkovsky got hurt game 2 or game 3 a little bit, so he missed time. But that line, they played together for like 60 even strength minutes, didn't score a single goal as a group, as a threesome. And by the way, we're talking about if you had a Mount Rushmore of best lines in hockey this year, Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky are on it unquestionably. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's the first time that I was going back through about 2 or 3 years of data. It's the first time I've seen a team really, really slow that group down. And just to be blunt, I don't know that Montreal can make a run without that line flat out dominating. And by the way, I think that's on the board. Like that line is terrifying. But if they run it back and they're leaning on their middle 6 to drive those goal differentials like they did against Tampa Bay, I think they are in for a world of trouble against Buffalo.
Just to move on from the Lightning, I think one of the first things I would have thought of had they been the Sabres' opponent, Travis, is, well, they have the best player in Kucherov. I did not realize until a few days ago, 1 goal in his last, 19 playoff games? He scored in game 2 of the Canadian series. That might have been on a power play. Still counts. Before that, it's game 1 of the first round 3 years ago. I didn't realize that he was, so cold. How big of a story is or was that?
I think it's an underrated one. And by the way, a corollary or at least tangential to that, how about Tampa Bay now, and John Cooper, by the way, for that matter, a lot of, for a franchise with tremendous and sustained success here, they have been bounced from the play. Is that 3 or 4 years in a row now?
4 years in a row.
Bounced out of the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years in a row, bounced out of the first round. Cooper's team, obviously, let's do some audio fist bumps here. Very famous silver medalist to the Team Canada. That's what John Cooper delivered to our friends north of the border. They've had a bit of a rough go of it. And by the way, you make the point about Kucherov. It's hard to paint these guys in a bad light because they've been so dominant for so long, but wasn't exactly Vasilevsky's best series either, and that's been a recurring pattern. Frankly, he was outplayed by Montreal's goaltending. So this is typically, though, the signs that you see, and I will give credit to Tampa on this. We have talked, how many times have we brought this up, where we knew the old guard, the Boston, the Torontos, the Floridas, the Tampa Bays would have invariably take steps back over time, and that would be the opportunity for a Montreal and a Buffalo and an Ottawa. And that's basically proven out, with one exception, which is Tampa Bay's really held on in a good way. But, boy, that franchise is showing some cracks here, and quite frankly, Buffalo and Montreal have taken the most of the opportunity.
Travis Yost with us. So what's your, I don't like this word, but I just thought of it too late, summation of the Sabres' 6-game win over Boston, Travis? How a couple of strengths that came to the surface that you would say is mostly how they were able to do it?
Yeah, so I wasn't a loud believer in Boston. This is a team that you typically want in a first-round matchup. I'm not trying to diminish Boston here, but Buffalo was clearly the better team. I think they showed it. I think it even strength over the 6-game series, and I know there was a blowout in there, but over 6 games, I think Buffalo outscored Boston 19-9, right? And you could say, oh, it's a competitive 6-game series, and was it really? Not really, right? Buffalo's power play was utterly rancid, and probably the only reason that series went 6 games. I thought Lyon was very solid in net, and most importantly, Buffalo got their big guys going. I thought Tuck and Thompson were fantastic in the first round, as good as it gets. And then how about the top 4? The one thing, even if you were bearish on the Sabres heading into this season, you had to have been confident at least that the blue line was really solidifying themselves. And this is before we knew that Samuelsson would develop into, hey, this guy can play the top 4 no problem, a 180 that we've talked about. But I thought Bowen Byram and Rasmus Dahlin were fantastic in this series. I think goals were 10-4 with Byram on the ice. They just a flat-out better team, deeper across the board and more talented than Boston. And then the last note there, the Pasternak line was break even at 5-on-5. If you're playing the Bruins and Pasternak's not driving positive goal differentials for the Bruins, Boston's not winning a game or a series for that matter. And so Buffalo did a good job containing that. But if you said, hey, look, give me the glass half empty, you don't want to overreact to 6 games. It is what it is. And honestly, this was more thematic with a lot more teams outside of Buffalo than I think Sabres fans might realize. The power play was so awful. You just cannot expect to win many series in the modern era of hockey when your power play is giving you maybe 1 goal in a 6-game series. That is against a lesser opponent, you might skate by on that, but against an opponent like Montreal, the caliber of Montreal, I think the Sabres need a little bit more there. But that'd be the one, I think, item of concern going into this.
You mentioned how the Sabres did a good job on the Pasternak line. Does it give you – it's a different opponent, different skill sets. We already talked about that top line for Montreal. Does their success holding Pasternak and his line mates down give you some optimism that the Sabres will be able to do some of that against that Suzuki, Caulfield, and assuming it'll be Slavkovsky to start the series anyways on line 1?
So this is one area. I think Buffalo's the better team. I'm taking Buffalo in the series, but I don't think the lines are equivalent. And the reason why is this is an area where I think, like hockey analytics, like for the things that the area's gotten right, the area's gotten wrong. One thing that I really love that's become part of like hockey discussion is let's move not entirely away from like individual player contributions in production, but like how the groups function as an aggregate, whether it's 2 forwards together, a 5-man unit together. We've always looked at defensive pairings and lines, but basically the chemistry or the net effect of one player has on another, because anyone who's played sports knows in many cases the sum of the parts can be less than the whole or greater than the whole. And a lot of that we always qualitatively call chemistry or any other thing that you want to describe it as. The reason why I bring that up is Pasternak, he is the classic rising tide lifts all boats. You put me and you on his line. We're probably going to score 5 or 6 goals in an NHL season, and I can barely skate backwards. That's how good Pasternak is. Whereas in the Montreal world, right, like you have 3 very, very dynamic players who also, by the way, have complementary skill sets. And that is what has always, to me, when a great line becomes terrifying is when you can see the pockets of complementary skill sets. You know, Caulfield does not score, he scored 50 goals this year. He doesn't clear that threshold without a playmaker like Suzuki or a bigger body like Slavkovsky who can just kind of move in and around the offensive zone free will, right? But they all benefit and play off of one another. I think this is a very different animal. And although I definitely think the Sabres are going to be able to take the pace of this game in their favor and really take it to Montreal's middle 6, I think this is a classic series where if you're a Sabres fan going in, you say, look, if we can just break even in those minutes against Montreal's top line, assuming they're back, which I'm very strongly believing is going to be the case, if we can just break even head-to-head against them, we don't have some sort of goaltending nightmare wipeout, we're going to win this series in 6 or 7 games. And I think that's really the playbook here, but I think it would be unfair to that Canadiens top line to even – I think it's almost apples and oranges comparing it to Pasternak. And that's saying something because Pasternak is that dynamic a player, but this is a different animal.
If the 3 of us were teammates, line mates even, on an NHL team, then Bulldog's dream can come to fruition of in the locker room, quoting Dave, the movie Dave, to the other players.
You had to be here, Travis.
Because that's what Bulldog needed in his life.
And we could talk about the famous sweep of '83, and you guys can tell me what happened. That'd be great.
1-0, 3-0, 4-2. There's the whole series breakdown. With Travis Yost. You mentioned the Sabres power play in harsh terms. You did write today, in part, about how the Sabres are not exactly on their own, on an island, with a struggling power play in the first round. The stats, according to your chart, say that power play scoring was the lowest in, almost 20 years or longer.
Yep, and I think someone asked me a question, and I wanted to respond just yes. It was like, is it power play weakness or strength of the penalty kills? And it's like, well, I will answer that after I see the second-round matchups because, by the way, 2 things are true. Power plays have become incrementally more meaningful and a meaningful differentiator of regular season teams that are going to qualify for the playoffs in this heightened scoring environment. You cannot really survive with a weak power play, even in a regular season, unless you have massive outperformance elsewhere. So power plays really have become a core function of team performance. That's one piece of it. It's also true, though, that a lot of the teams that took the life out of a lot of these power plays around the league in the first round have some of the best penalty kill units in the league, right? A great example, like the Ottawa Senators had a pretty strong power play over the course of the regular season. They head into the Carolina buzzsaw. They couldn't even get a shot on net. And we saw that between, I think there was 5 or 6 teams in that group, and it was a mix of teams with bad power plays in the regular season that had gotten into the playoffs through other means, or teams that had just been completely taken out of it. So you have the Sabres, you have Utah, who, by the way, you can make an argument Utah lost the series because they didn't have a power play against Vegas. Ottawa, I think, managed I think they were outscored or might have broken even on the power play over the course of a 4-game series with Carolina. Boston did absolutely nothing on the power play in their opportunities against the Sabres. So, it was like 5 or 6 teams, by the way, were averaging 3 goals or less per 60 minutes on the power play in the first round. Just for context, like the league baseline is like almost 8 goals per 60 minutes. So basically nothing was happening in the man advantage. We're at a 2-decade low. I do think a fascinating question to unwind or unpack here in the second round is, okay, now that we've rejiggered the matchups, how do these power plays perform going forward here? Because I do not believe that, as scoring has improved year over year at 5-on-5 and on the power play, that we just took some massively sudden, rapid step backwards. However, it does beg the question of what are these penalty kills doing on video, structurally speaking, to kind of take the game out of it. And I think we saw a lot of that in the Buffalo-Boston series, to be honest.
Travis, how about the rest of it? Philadelphia, Carolina. Carolina is rolling. Out west, you had a 9-6 game last night with the Avs. Then you have Vegas and Anaheim for whatever that is. Well, one of them is going to be in the Final Four, at least. Listen to me. All pumped up with the Sabres into the second round for the first time in literally 19 years.
Well, it is ridiculous that a team from that division is going to make the conference final.
Not to tee you up
system,
so directly, but yes.
Can I sell you guys? Can I sell you guys on this? This is where, because I can't disagree with you. Just by the way, I can't even give Flyers fans that's an awesome first round win. They haven't been there in a while. They beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was good this year. Full credit to the Flyers, but going from the Penguins to the Hurricanes, it's like running a 5K versus a marathon. These are not. It almost feels like they are two different sports. And Game 1, man, I'm telling you, I don't know if you guys caught a lot of the Carolina-Philadelphia Game 1. The Flyers, every time they touched the puck, which was about 3 times a period, I was jumping off my couch because I was so excited that maybe the Flyers would be able to do something in that shift at that moment in time. Carolina just completely dominated that game. I've kind of this is what I'm marching towards mentally. If we could get a conference final, and no slight to Montreal, because I think Montreal, I think they showed enough in the regular season that if they did upset Buffalo, that's a good conference finalist team. But what if you had a Final Four of Buffalo versus Carolina, which I think you can unequivocally argue would be 1 versus 2, Carolina versus Buffalo in the East, 2 best teams getting out. Colorado, who's the best team in the NHL out west. And then I know I'm kind of picking at straws a little bit, but that was a good series win by Vegas against Utah. That Utah team is good, and Vegas dispatched them. I think Vegas is going to take care of Anaheim. I think that's a bit of a step down from Utah to Anaheim. Mm-hmm. And if you can get Buffalo, Carolina, Colorado as 3 of your Final Four, plus a 4th team that, if nothing else, is absolutely teeming with guys who have been there before. And by the way, a team that has in the past tortured this same Avalanche lineup in the playoffs. I think that could be an interesting Final Four. But, I think Schopp, I think the way you're talking about it, it feels like I should prepare for Minnesota, Anaheim in the West.
No, we'll see. But also coaches. I mean, Tortorella now, talk about experience. I mean, they all have coaches who've been to the finals or won.
Yeah.
Ruff versus Brindamore, Bulldog would be
tasty.
Something.
Yeah.
Oh, he's already talking about round 3.
What about what about this too? What about this wrinkle? I'm sure I don't know if you guys spoke about it, but Leafs fans just dying through this presser today announcing their new front office, and the knives are out. And if anyone hasn't caught the clips of that, I'm telling you, when you're at home tonight, sprint to the radio and get the clips of that press conference. It was uncomfortable at best. What about also you get Buffalo, Carolina, Colorado in that Final Four, and then by the way, Mitch Marner's 8 away from getting his ring for a
yeah, pretty tasty.
I'd root for that.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Toronto, Travis. I was hoping to squeeze something in, just your reaction. I on one hand, I give Simmons a lot of credit, for Steve Simmons, for asking the question. But, man, I don't think – you said uncomfortable. I don't think I've ever heard a more – I don't know, just gun in your hand question at a sports news conference than what that guy pulled off today.
Yeah, and it's fascinating too because John Chayka, it's impossible. Not hard. It's impossible to untangle him from the Coyotes debacle of the last 2 decades and how mismanaged everything was there. And it's like, for my money, and I know him not well, but I know him, and for my money, it's like this is someone you always give a second chance to, by and large. I mean, the Coyotes were a joke, but what is clear to me that amidst all the chaos in the Coyotes organization, he made effectively 0 friends, both within the organization and around the league. And I thought Paul Bissonnette, who, by the way, he's on the TNT broadcast, right?
Yep.
He came out and basically says, I'm out, on day 1 of this hiring being announced. And I didn't think that was interesting at all. The interesting part was he specifically and explicitly referenced the falling out between him and Shane Doan and the Coyotes organization. And the problem I think John is going to have if they don't have immediate success is I think he hurt a lot of relationships, either intentionally or unintentionally around the league, and he's kind of starting off with very weak footing. And if you have a Toronto team, that's going to have playoff expectations as soon as next year again, if they get out to a 6-15 start, the temperature is going to be dialed up to 1,000,000 in Toronto.
Travis, thanks for fitting us in today. On to round two. We'll be looking forward to reading you and talking again soon.
All right, guys. Take care. Good luck.
Travis Yost, TSN. Bulldog, notice a rattle in your ducts or a rise in your heating and cooling bills? If you do, give Belknap a ring. With 0% financing, the cost of upgrading to a high-efficiency dual-fuel heating system is a breeze. Learn more at belknapheating.com. That's belknapheating.com. Go green, save energy and money. With Belknap, schedule a free estimate on your new installation. Give Belknap a ring, 688-1728. For more comfort and less ka-ching, give Belknap a ring. They didn't give you any time.
Bravo. Well done. Yeah, they are sponsoring our video stream.
Yes.
Belknap. There's a little logo there on the stream. I'm watching it right now.
How's it look?
The logo looks great. I look like hell. Yeah.
Any excuses?
Just my big dumb red face. I'm not going to resort to putting makeup on. So we just get.
What even color would the makeup
get
be?
My big dumb red face.
It's just going to be a red face.
Yeah. Just I'm stuck with it. But their logo looks great right above
That's
my
good.
big dumb red face.
That's good.
Yeah.
I went with a Blue Jays visor today.
I see that. I'm hatless today.
Hat tip to Toronto, which, it's Sabres country right now up there. 803-0550, Sabres and Canadians, round two. How do you see it? Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Lines open for you. This is WGR.
On to the second round for the Buffalo Sabres as they are going to take on the Montreal Canadiens, though. Got a little bit of a wait here before Game 1. It's going to be on Wednesday at KeyBank, but ahead of that, head coach Lindy Ruff did speak with the media earlier this morning, and we got a bit of an injury update on forward Sam Carrick, saying he is further along than originally believed, and that Carrick might even be able to join the Sabres at practice tomorrow. And for more information on today, Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. There are 2 games tonight. Carolina hosts the Flyers at 7. The Hurricanes do hold a 1-0 series lead there. And then at 9:30, Game 1 between Vegas and Anaheim, with Game 1 being in Las Vegas. And then in baseball, longtime radio voice of the New York Yankees, John Sterling, was announced to have died today at the age of 87. Sterling was the radio voice of the Yankees for parts of 36 seasons, and the Yankees are in action tonight. They are home as they take on Baltimore at 7:05. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Steve Simmons, Toronto Sun, for Keith. You talk about the due diligence that you did on John prior to hiring him and now hiring him. In the past, say 3 to 4 days, I have been in contact with about 20 people who work in the National Hockey League, many of whom are prominent names that we would all know. And of the 20 people I spoke to, 1 was supportive of John's hiring, and the other 19 thought it was a sham, to be perfectly honest. Words were used like con artist, liar, salesman. How did you come to a different conclusion than I was able to come to in a very short time?
I must have talked to different people.
Could you ever... You kind of said to Travis like you respected the questioner.
I do. I mean, if he honestly did talk to 20 people around the league and those were the responses he got, I mean, I don't want to assume he's exaggerating that or making that up.
I like that too. But I would never...
I know.
Be somebody who would like be so specific. The guy's at the table.
I know.
Like you could ask the same question without, showing him up like that. And then you're going to want what? You're going to want honesty and objectivity from him. I guess if you don't get it, then you were right. Your sources were right. And hot dogs. I don't know. I mean, that's
right.
That's a lot of nerve. You don't need it unless you're just trying to be the show.
There is definitely an element of showmanship there. No question. I mean, you're trying to make the news conference all about you. Is what you effectively have done there,
which is you
don't want to
not
do
respectable.
You're breaking a journalism rule there, for sure. But man, it was so blunt that it almost goes beyond uncomfortable to me, to where it swings back to where I respect it, because it's just so blunt force trauma. But
I thought the guy who took the question handled it great.
I'm not telling you it's necessarily appropriate. It was just kind of incredible.
Definitely incredible.
And indicative of what the thing. I mean, and look, there's not other people within the, Jonas Siegel. I've seen the headline of his story for The Athletic is, "This is not a serious sports franchise," based on this decision that's been made there. And so I don't know what kind of questions, or if he was even in the room for the news conference, but that's the lay of the land right now in Toronto. They've made this decision. Sundin, who's obviously one of the most popular players in franchise history, right? Even though they didn't win while he was there, because nobody's won since 1967. He's not been around the game really, and not around them even. So
and what, they interviewed him?
He's above the GM.
He's part of the...
He's up there on the dais with Pelly, and they're flanking him. Sundin and Chayka are flanking Pelly.
I didn't realize that.
And he has got I don't know. He's basically, I think, replacing Brendan Shanahan.
Is he in the Eric Stahl role?
Yeah, maybe.
No, he's probably above that.
Yeah, no, he's supposed to lend a hand.
What is the Eric Stahl
wherever
role?
he can. I don't know.
Is Eric Stahl still in the Eric Stahl role?
Is he still here? I don't know.
Was he ever?
These are good questions.
Somewhere he's throwing his resume around with Buffalo Sabres executive, second round, first playoff team in 15 years.
And I don't know what happened with the Doan family or Shane Doan specifically in this guy, Cheka. He was the GM in Arizona. Doan is a legendary, played his whole career for that franchise.
Refused to trade to the Sabres?
Refused to trade to the Sabres. Now his kid's a rock star here, and he's been around the Toronto front office, kind of like Sundin isn't or hasn't been. Doan has been there kind of all year, and now that's I don't know. I've not seen a formal announcement because I don't even know that he had a formal job, but he was on the periphery of the Leafs front office all season, Shane Doan, and that's supposed to be over now because he's got something with this guy that they hired.
Some history
there. That's what Travis alluded to last segment.
What if they had hired Kevin Adams? Like today's a reminder that anybody who ever plays sports in Buffalo should not complain about how they're treated.
That's a good point.
Just give me a break. This guy's hired the first day, and you got a reporter in there calling out all these anonymous sources who told the reporter that he's a sham and a liar. Like, that's how it starts. It's just like, I don't know. It always bugs me. And Tyrod Taylor, right? He signed today with Green Bay. I love that his career is still going. He's going to be on all the teams eventually. When he complained once at the Super Bowl about how, like, the Buffalo media was so tough, like, I always liked him, but like, you've been in other markets. How could you possibly? Who said what to you?
Yeah.
Who said what about you? I just thought it was insane that a player could think he gets a rough ride in Buffalo. For what? From whom? Where? How? Then you go to Toronto, day one, it's that.
Right.
Day zero.
Sham, salesman, liar. Cheat, I think was maybe, I don't know if he said cheat.
How bad is that?
But it was just
terrible by the reporter.
Brutalized.
And awful for the guy. He's here, whatever he is. Like, he gets the job, you think you get a certain level of professionalism from the room. I like the guy who answered the question very shortly, just said, I must have talked to different people. He wasn't, like, rattled, which is good. Good luck to the Leafs. I mean, the Bills are not quite the Leafs yet, but we're on the Leafs track unless we can break through here.
Yeah.
And eventually you just get sort of tired of it. And now we've fired our coach, and maybe next time it'll be a certain start. Well, they've already done Diggs, not exactly going to line up perfectly. Marner leaves. Matthews might have to be next because he's on top of it. And if they can't win, what do? You got to do something. Teams usually do something. Love that Dahlin was named for the Masterton Trophy. I don't know who else was. Maybe you do. But what a great candidate.
Oh, I saw the candidates. It shouldn't be that hard to find. And now I can't
Zadorov?
Grab them. Oh, Jonathan Taves is one of them, and Gabriel Landeskog.
Okay.
Who's had like pretty grievous injury troubles the last couple of years.
Well, Dahlin is a wonderful player who has been mired in this 8-year mess, and now it's all just sort of seeing the light, and he's at the front of it. And of course, his personal story this year, he left the team to be with his fiance, and then she comes back and makes an appearance, and like, it's all just so wonderful again. And I don't know how they vote for these things, because I'm sure every year the candidates are all excellent candidates. But man, Dahlin is kind of an obvious feel-good choice, and he's an elite player, which Taves used to be.
Right.
And even Landeskog, I guess, used to be. But here's Dahlin. I don't know, how do you vote? If you want to tell a certain story, Dahlin is a great guy to tell a story through this year. So here's to him.
Yeah, and he's different than the other two in that their hardships were their own. Like, Landeskog had to recover from serious injury. Taves was illness more than injury. I think that was maybe long COVID took him out when his career stopped, and he finally got back to a place where he could, he could get back on the ice and play. Dahlin obviously was going through something that was happening to his partner in life. And so, his health was always, fine during the whole thing. So it's different. Not to say like one's more challenging than the other. I think it's harder when you're not the one being physically affected. You got to rehab from an injury. You're in the bunker. I got to do this work. This is what I do. I'm going to get back. Dahlin never had to get back. He just had to get stable, like normal life, and hope that his fiance was eventually going to be fine, which thankfully she is.
Well, again, I'll say I don't know the parameters of this award. It seems like it might be a tough one where you have to choose. But even apart from his personal story, dedication to the game, the guy's coming up on 600 games for this team with almost no fanfare, yet having been a tremendous player pretty much throughout. I mean, he's not an underdog story in the same way as certain other guys. He's the first overall pick. But I don't know. I'd love to see him win.
Yeah.
Just biased, but I feel like dedication to the game is really a flag you can wave when you've been on the Buffalo Sabres for 8 years.
Yes.
And you've been great.
Yep.
And now, when has he ever done anything that was like even the least bit controversial or anything? Like the guy just shows up.
The worst thing that's ever happened was really, as far as that goes, was us speculating about when it might happen, if it's ever going to happen. Like, is he going to have an Eichel moment where he's like, okay, that's enough. I don't want to do this anymore here. I just can't take it.
Well,
and thankfully we never got there.
I will tell you that if I remember this right, the beginning of this season, wasn't there like a moment or two leading up to the season where he really lost his temper during practice and smashed his stick and maybe had you wondering, I think we had this conversation at the time, like, here comes another season, and do they know they're going to be bad again?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on
Right.
in his life. And he could have been, really would have been severely distracted by that.
Sure.
And I don't know, like you're trying to not only play and do your job, but be the captain and lead, and your mind is across the ocean. I can't imagine how tough that would be to juggle. Anyway, it's all been said. I think he's a great story, as is his team, of course. Wednesday night for the opener. Have you ever considered the Canadiens to be your least favorite team?
No, never.
How could they never have moved into that spot?
I don't know. It's very similar to me how I would never describe Toronto as my least favorite team. I think I don't like how this is going to come out, because I don't want to, like, I love the game so much more than you. I don't mean it to be, but I love the game. I love the sport. And Montreal and Toronto, there's something about them that just appeal to me beyond my fandom of the Sabres. They're historic franchises, and I respect, especially way more Montreal. Toronto, I could never go to another game in Toronto, and I'd never miss it, ever one time in my life. Like, the crowd is it's not at all a hockey crowd. It's wealthy people, and that doesn't mean that wealthy people don't like hockey, but it's a different thing. And Montreal is in it, like Montreal really, but they both. I feel like the sport's better when they matter. Those two teams, and just Montreal is never, even when they've beaten the Sabres in playoffs. You're gonna go back a little ways.
33 years.
They just never really felt in my hair the way other rivals did.
I'm mostly the same way. I'm not sure they've ever been my least favorite team. Early 90s is when it would have happened, when they beat the Sabres 3 out of 4 years.
Yeah.
And 93 really hurt off of Mayday and getting swept, losing McGillney. I was no fan of that team. So it might have been the case. They might have been my number one. But they're royalty, in terms of the NHL. You love the game. It's the league, too, like what they mean to the league.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah. And
a lot.
And, going to a game there is like very much the antithesis of what I described Toronto as. You just feel it. Like, remember Danny Briere coming here? Like, it smells like hockey getting off the plane. He was coming from Phoenix. That's a long time ago now, but that's how Montreal is to me. Like, you go there on a Saturday, you get there on a Saturday afternoon for a Saturday night game, and it just is the city's
buzzing.
like the pulse of the city is the hockey game.
Yep.
And the hockey markets that have that are pretty rare.
Who's going to Game 3? Anybody? We already working on that? Is there a GoFundMe or a Venmo?
What's going on? I don't know.
Anything working?
Are they reserving that for clinching game? I don't know what's going on there.
Game 6 would be a week from Saturday.
Right.
You can maybe plan ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, 803-0550 for your calls. This is WGR. Couple of baseball nuggets. We talked about the death of John Sterling, who, a legend. Yankees broadcaster, but interesting career before even the Yankees that spanned decades, again, before the dynasty years of the 90s and on.
I'm sorry. I read in an obit. I could have waited till you to finish the sentence. I read an obit that he started his radio career in Wellsville, which I had never known about him. So that's kind of cool, like close by enough.
Where did you start yours, just for when that sad day comes?
Buff State.
Buffalo State, then Buffalo State College.
Yep.
Give me Waterloo, New York.
All right.
That's not true. It's just
it is true. You just want Waterloo?
My first radio job was in Waterloo. Joe Mack of Williamsville East.
Right, good.
Marlins product. Called up and is in the lineup tonight for Miami against Philadelphia. Catcher. Reminds me of Jonah Heim.
Right.
He got his chance and ended up being pretty much a World Series hero.
An all-star, yeah, right.
So Joe Mack, good luck to him, Miami and Philadelphia. Tarek Skubal is out months for Detroit. He is in his walk year. Won the Cy Young maybe twice. I don't know if that's right, but he's been an elite ace pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
This year, his contract is up, and he's going to be out, they say, 2 to 3 months, which might bury Detroit. It's not been a good season yet for the Tigers. The whole division's terrible, which makes him a possible trade candidate, like a deadline candidate. If they don't think they can sign him, and here you get maybe a fresh Skubal in a deadline move, that'll be interesting in the summer, perhaps. Big loss for my Goodwich Wildcats. What a weekend we had, Bulldog. I know you were going to bring this up too. You were going to jump in on me on this one too by losing Acuna just after trading for him, maybe losing Raleigh.
I'm sorry, are you still talking to me?
And sort of. And then Skubal for months. Didn't need Yelich already out. Didn't need all those little red flags on my roster. Now I have a pile of them. A couple of bullpen guys you wouldn't be able to
time to dip into the minors.
You're gonna have to dip into the minors.
Call some guys up. You get to do
That's
that.
what I should do.
You get to do that, and you don't get to do that.
We do have a farm system.
Yeah, okay.
But they have to be playing in the major leagues, or else
I
can't get their Bison stats.
I got you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have to get called up. One of them, by the way, since you mentioned that, is tonight's starting pitcher for the Red Sox, Toll.
Great.
Peyton Toll.
Oh, I liked him last year.
He's off to a pretty
when
good
he
start.
showed up. So all right,
Who do they have?
Start digging
Houston?
out. No, they just got pounded by Houston. I think that's over. I think they got something else. I'm not even sure. I don't know if you know, the Sabres are in the playoffs.
Detroit.
So that's been sort of distracting me. I've been paying attention. Oh, they got Detroit. Well, great. No Skubal.
He was supposed to start tonight.
All right.
I think Holton is going to start out of the bullpen for them. Tyler Holton. Red Sox and Tigers, 6:10. It's coming up. Get ready. Sabres and Canadians, how do you see it? This is WGR.
Meaningful games in May. The Buffalo Sabres are on to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they're going to be taking on the Montreal Canadiens. We do have a few days until that series gets underway. It'll be Wednesday at KeyBank Center. But ahead of Game 1, head coach Lindy Ruff did speak with the media this morning. We got a bit of an update on forward Sam Carrick, saying he is further along than originally believed, and that Carrick might even be able to join the Sabres at practice tomorrow. And for more information on this, Paul Hamilton has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Staying with the Sabres, Captain Rasmus Dahlin is one of the 3 finalists for the Bill Masterton Trophy that is handed out to the player that best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. And then we do have 2 games tonight. Carolina hosts the Flyers at 7. The Hurricanes do hold a 1-0 series lead in that one. And at 9:30, Game 1 between Vegas and Anaheim, with tonight's game being in Las Vegas. In the NFL, Sal Capaccio is continuing his State of the Bill series at our website, WGR550.com. Quarterbacks and running backs are already up, and the wide receivers are the latest position to get the spotlight. And in baseball, longtime radio voice of the New York Yankees, John Sterling, was announced to have died at the age of 87 today. Sterling was the radio voice of the Yankees for parts of 36 seasons, and the Yankees are in action tonight. They are home against Baltimore at 7:05. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Serious conversation about mayonnaise here.
And the Bulldog.
And don't
Sports Radio 550.
All right. Maybe this would be good to sink our teeth into, wow. You know what just happened? I just went to the bathroom and was leaving as Bulldog walked in, and I told him I had this strange, unusual impulse to splash water on my face. And I said, I don't know why I did it, but I just did that. He's like, well, it's a big segment coming up, and I come out with teeths.
I'm glad you beat me to the cold water in the face, because I was about to what? Didn't you just splash cold water on your face? What are you doing earlier with teeths?
Teeths?
Dr. Teeths and the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah. Terrible job. Well, I didn't even need any of it. Tomorrow, like most of what I say, tomorrow we'll have time to sit with this if we want. Are there any, if you will, narratives that the Sabres have yet to crush? Is there a thing still about them that anyone should be worried about? Goaltending has come through. A relative lack of experience didn't get them beat.
No.
I mean, the top line gets, again, relatively looked somewhat down upon because they're not quite on the same level of driving play as Tampa or even Boston or Montreal. Like, you're in this division where, as high end of a goal scorer as Thompson is, they're not quite the same in that kind of context. But they win the series in 6, and they're at the lead of the scoring list.
I think the goaltending will still be a spot that I think objectively someone from the outside is going to look at it and say, I think Lyon is second in the NHL through the playoffs here, through round 1. This doesn't include game 1 of that series last night, though I don't think anybody put up any goaltending stats in a 9-6 game that Colorado won over Minnesota last night. Lyon might be second in goals saved above expected so far in the playoffs. If he's not second, he's doing great. And because he's Alex Lyon, in a certain way, if Luukkonen had stayed in, he doesn't give up the 100-footer. Maybe they lose game 2 anyway, but he just stays in and he makes enough saves and whatever. I am not setting up to talk bad about Lyon here. I'm just talking about perception. Luukkonen, the big guy, Finnish national team, was supposed to be on the Olympic team, second-round pick. If he's coming through in the first round for the Sabres, I think objective people are looking back going, oh, well, he's finally showing that he can do it. Lyon is a different sort of skepticism, which is you're waiting for him to turn into a pumpkin. because he's mostly been, a pumpkin in his career. He's bounced around. He's a journeyman backup mostly guy. He's very rarely, there's little pockets of seasons. I keep meaning to look up Detroit where he was between Florida and here to see what that was, like how often he played.
Played a lot.
Okay. So maybe that was his one look at it, and it didn't take. He had that little run with Florida 3 years ago where he helps them get in, and then he's the guy, but then he gets pulled, and they take off, and he never gets back in. I just think you could look at him and go, oh, the goals saved above expected. That's not going to be sticky because it's Alex Lyon, even though he's been there all year in like the top 5 in that category across the league all season. You're just waiting for him to revert to form. If you thought he was a journeyman junk baller going into the year, no matter how well he plays, to an extent, you're still going to be there with your arms folded going, I don't know, I'm not sure if I trust it. And so whenever, if it ever does break down, you get to be right there going, I kind of knew it. It's Alex Lyon. He's not Jeremy Swayman. He's not somebody's idea of, even the Canadiens guy is, college hockey, up and coming. They got 2 guys, really. The backup Fowler is very well thought of, too.
Probably a higher pick.
I think so.
Dobich was a 5th-round pick.
Right. I think I don't know Fowler's draft status for sure. But either way, like there's a certain, the young guy is breaking through, and that you want to trust that because, again, like you saw him play college hockey. He's not been bouncing around the league for 8 years already. He's gotten one crack at having a starting job, and he's the number 1 goalie for one of the most storied franchises in the history of the sport. Like, we're done talking here. He looks the part. His resume fills the part. Lyon is not. Fans are going to be skeptical about him to an extent. And that's not all fair, but I think that's just how it is.
No, that's totally how it is. And it's one thing to say, well, the pumpkin point, right? You can't do it. But it's more fair or accurate to say, like, we just don't know.
Right.
Because he hardly ever got a chance. I mean, this guy's career, look up Hockey Reference. And, your son experienced some of this same road. I mean, he played high school hockey, and then he was in Omaha for 2 years in the U.S. Hockey League, ages 19 and 20. I mean, there are guys in the NHL. What's Levi? I mean, he's in the NHL at 20, isn't he? 21?
No. Well,
college.
He played junior and then played college, and he's not that young.
Okay.
And at goalies especially, it's very rare for a goalie to show up under the age of 22 even.
Well, then he goes to college and plays, so that's late for him to go to Yale at his age 21 season. That's his first year at Yale. Like, he's 3 years older than everybody else, around him.
Again,
probably.
Not that uncommon for college goalies.
Okay.
Pretty typical path, I would say.
3 seasons, if not 4, it's 3, I think, at Yale. And then it's part or most of 6 years in the American League. 17 to 30 ages. He's playing for Lehigh Valley. He's playing for Chicago. He's playing for Charlotte. He's up and down. He played for the Flyers for a game or two in a couple of those years. Right. But not until Detroit. He had the stint with Florida where he got into playoff games that we know. Not until Detroit 2 years ago does he play as much as half a season.
Okay.
But he does.
Right.
And that team was decent, but not a playoff team. 91 points, 24 Red Wings. And, it's a good-looking stat line. 904. It looks like this year. Goals against this year was better. But has a good season for Detroit and his first chance to play a meaningful role. And he's 31.
Right.
Same thing next year with Detroit. Doesn't play as often. They have Talbot there. And then he comes here. And now, I mean, you're on the back nine before any of this happens.
Yeah.
So, no, you're right. I mean, I was a little early on what could have been possible for a higher-end prospect at a younger age. But it's like he was never drafted, I believe. So he is bouncing around, and you don't know if he can do it. But teams, we know this from football, teams need to have an incentive to find out.
Right, they barely want to take the chance.
They don't want it. They don't need to take the chance.
They've got guys in their organization that outrank them, draft status, the GM's attached to them, whatever.
Exactly. And that's exactly right. The players Those players are the ones that make or break the manager, not him.
Right.
I mean, if a coach went to Alex Lyon 4 years ago in Philadelphia, or 5 or 6 years ago in Philadelphia, and like, all right, take it. I mean, maybe that would have worked great. Maybe he'd be a legend.
Mm-hmm.
The Flyers haven't had a good goalie since Lindbergh. I mean, it's decades. So, but they probably had someone who they had Carter Hart. I mean, they probably had somebody who they were invested in. This is how this is how it all works.
Yep.
And that puts a player like Lyon. I mean, you can really, I don't know a lot about his makeup, but this could be somebody that's just like fighting all the time to get any respect.
Yep. He comes off that way. Like we've learned here during these playoffs that he's there's a lot of personality there. And like the stereotype for the goalie mostly. And look, I definitely subscribe to this. When you referenced my kid's path. He would have been 21 by the time he got to college if he'd kept playing, or maybe even 22. So the goalies, very typically, it takes a little longer to get where you're going. That's why the high-end guys, Spencer Knight, for example, a guy that's drafted mid-first round, is like such a rock star. Like, oh, this guy's going to make it for sure. And it still took him 4 years. Anyway, Lyon is, his first moment on the ice in this series is asking Tanner Jeannot if he wants to fight. And I started to say when Owen was playing, like I mostly when he first started playing goalie and then all the way through however high he climbed, I'm like, just stay out of the stuff. Like there's a pile up in the crease, skate away, just get out. Like Swayman did most of the series. Like anything that's going around there, he might have complained about it, but in the moment he was never baited into it. He was just going to go. He's going to go away. And Lyon seems like a very different cat for a goalie. I think the stereotype is, maybe coaches tell kids this or their parents, like I told my son, you're the goalie, stay out of it, right? If you react, everyone else overreacts, and now you're taking penalties, and all kinds of dumb stuff is happening, right? As soon as you swing your blocker, 3 of your teammates are coming in and getting penalties. So just you stay out of it, they'll stay out of it, and it just gets better. Mm-hmm. Lyon, not that he's starting fights, but like he's jawing with the fans in Boston, and he's a very different, and that is, I think, can be, I guess, I mean, from a very amateur psychologist standpoint, that behavior is the behavior of the guy that's like in the background. Hey, what about me? Don't forget about I can play. I'm a goalie. I went to Yale, right? Like he needs to let you know. Because he might have his default setting might be they're going to forget about me if I don't stick out, if I don't make noise. So I think we've learned that, and I really didn't know. And I'm listening to him now a couple of different times when he's talked at the podium during these series. He gives very thoughtful answers and really talks about his being nervous and knowing to have to deal with that and processing that. Like it's. You can't avoid it. You have to learn how to welcome it and live with it and make it work for you, which is, again, these are all lessons that I went through as a dad and, listening to different things my son was getting taught as he was, trying to make it. So Lyon is a bit of an he's an oddball. He's got this journeyman. He's a journeyman. And he's got this personality that's, I think, a little bit outside the normal goalie framework. So I think that'll be a spot as, you got a couple of days here to talk about it and think about this series. I wouldn't be surprised to read a lot of paragraphs that question whether he can keep it up. More so than I doubt you'll see a lot of that about the Montreal guy. It's just like, he's here. He's good. Whereas Lyon is bigger. Is more like, yeah, right. He looks the part. He's athletically, whatever. Where Lyon is more like, are you sure you're supposed to be here? Do you have a did you have a credential? Like, who are you?
Lyon is Sam Darnold.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Although he was a high draft pick.
Yeah.
First 5 years in the NHL. Lyon, 5 years, 17 starts. And he was 25 when he debuted.
Yeah.
Levi was 21. When Levi came up that first season, he was young.
That was right out of college. That's right.
So, I mean, he's the exception. But 17 starts in 5 years for Philadelphia and then Carolina. Yeah, well, it's going pretty well. Maybe you want him to keep being doubted.
Yeah, I think it works for him.
He doesn't seem to be afraid of it.
No, like I said, I think it's all part of what makes him him. And it might even be a certain kind of juice. Thurman Thomas. Nobody thinks I'm that good. I'm going to show you. And this is absolutely the biggest stage he's ever had. I mean, second round of the playoffs says it all, and he played the last 5 games to get them there, whereas back 3 years ago when he was Florida's number 1 guy heading in, like they don't make the playoffs without him getting hot like he did in March and April. One of those games was against Buffalo. But he starts the first 2 games, and they split, and then game 3 he starts and gets pulled, and that's the end of it. So now he's got a chance to really sort of plant a flag. Like, I'm here, and I'm a number 1 goalie.
Some will be asking, can he handle a playoff start if it isn't against Boston? Because he has 7 in his career, and they're all against Boston.
Oh, right. The ones against Florida were Boston, too. Yeah, that's right.
So speaking of Boston, how did Owen's trip go? Perfectly?
It sounds like pretty perfect. Yeah, pretty perfect.
I know they made it.
They definitely made it. They had, I would say, for like buying tickets, I don't know. I never talked to him about how much everything costs. I know they had enough money to get tickets, or at least his ticket, and they had a hotel in Boston overnight and some gas money, and then Sammy Paniatovich, our regular Friday guest, he set Owen and his buddy up at this bar before the game. They were there for like 1 beer, introduced him to some bartender friends of his, and Owen put up on Twitter after the game, like, I'm at whatever, I don't remember the name of the place. The Greatest Bar, I think is what it's called.
Cheers.
I'm on the 3rd floor of the Greatest Bar. Like, come see me. And he had set up with these bartenders, like, these Buffalo people are all on me. Or really it's on you, on the listeners, on people who threw into the Venmo to get him there in the first place. And he had enough left over that he's donating 11-day power play and Ride for Roswell. So, I mean, I didn't hear about any. He saw a bunch of old hockey friends, like guys from Nichols and other junior play, just a lot of guys that he had lost touch with over the years. So that was super cool. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like it went perfectly.
Great. And he got a win.
And he got a win. He got to see that. And all the goals were scored. Right. He was in a corner on an aisle, right where Doan and McAvoy and Pasternak all converge on that great play. That is like, he's like 10 rows up on the aisle right there. Right. And so everything happened there. All the Buffalo goals were right there.
Yeah.
And the Boston goal was right there. So, yeah, he had a great time. And
they're all even from the left side.
It just seemed like people really, grabbed onto it. I told Jeremy and I told Owen this when he got home, that I think, super cool, super fun. It's fun, talking on the air about it and just watching the whole thing unfold on social media. Like, I know he didn't just climb Mount Everest. I mean, he got in a car and drove 6 hours east. Like, it's not Herculean or anything. But the way it organically happened on the air, that the audience sort of pushed him to go and made it happen, was really cool.
It's funny.
And he gave, like, me, I'm always talking about getting through these days. Like, at least, we're here on game days, and that's not always easy. Like, I'm anxious and whatever, right? I'm a caged animal waiting for the game to start. I'm really wound up. And I thought, even if people weren't aware of it, what they did, Jeremy and him, by hatching this thing together, Howard, too, was a part of the thing germinating the way it did, is they provided everybody something to just distract them for the hours leading up to the game. Not that you had to be, like, just only paying attention to that, but it's a fun way to, like, let the afternoon and early evening go by. Like, did he get there yet? Is he there? Oh, he's there. He's at a bar. Cool. And I think that's helpful on a game day because, again, we're all pouring so much emotion into this that it can be hard to get to 7:30 sometimes.
Should we get him some rollerblades?
Yeah.
Or do you have to be invited? That's probably invite only.
It probably is. I did see some, when this was starting to happen Friday, there were people saying, the Blade Gang needs a goalie. But I don't follow that all closely enough to know that there isn't someone in goalie gear there. But anyway, so I don't know what the future is here. But
I was, like I'm sure many people, Friday night, Saturday. I mean, Saturday there was soccer on, but I was watching highlight packages of Game 6 over, some soccer game I really didn't care about, if I was honest with myself. So on Twitter, too, different little videos and things. And one of them was the guys in Toronto. Which one? Jeff O'Neill. What show is that?
That's Overdrive on TSN. That's my favorite radio show.
Brian Hayes asked O'Neill and maybe Jamie McLennan, right? Is in usually.
That's right.
He asked them, like, what's the story of the playoffs so far? And O'Neill sort of jumped in on the question. He's like, get me to Buffalo. And they played a clip of the rollerblade guys and that Cam Neely dummy.
Right.
And one of the Buffalo guys, is going in to pretend fight with this Cam Neely dummy, and he falls on his butt. And O'Neill's like, this guy is losing a fight to a mannequin.
Right.
Like, you got to get me to these scenes. Just I think they're everybody's favorite team right now.
Yeah.
Unless you have another one that's still playing.
Right.
I just think they're so easy, and Buffalo is so easy to root for. And look at these crowds and everything that's been said already.
They have really created a scene. And the to me, the rollerblade dudes are a big part of it. I'd never seen any that before. Like, it just sort of showed up at Game 1. And, okay, this is a thing we do now? Okay, great. Just really cool. That also, I'm sure they're happy to get the attention they're getting and whatever is coming from it. But I think it started organically. Like, we're going to be the maniacs that put rollerblades and mismatched jerseys on, and we're going to go down there and smack Cam Neely dolls around.
Yeah, the clothes are the best part.
Yeah, the jerseys are all so mismatched, and it's
perfect.
It's just great.
It's a really clever idea.
It really is good.
Paul Hamilton was in Boston. I don't know if he got any money for it. Well, we pay him.
That's right. Yeah.
There's that. But I don't think he raised any extra money or anything to go on that trip. I'm not positive of that. But we did talk to Paul earlier today about Game 6, and then also, obviously, the upcoming matchup with Montreal. Our chat with Paul next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. The Sabres are on to round 2. How about it? Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, Paul Hamilton on the West Her Hotline. Paul, while we were just thinking about this,
yes,
the Canadians' choice to stay in Tampa and then travel here, or even